And we're live. Hello and welcome to a special episode of Hex Quant Gang, featuring myself, Matty Allin, as well as Karim and
What's up?
WhalesOnly.
Very,
going
very
on,
happy
guys?
to be here. A lot of great news. I hope you guys love the tweet. So much more to share. So good to be here, man. It's almost like a ritual now, almost. I love it.
Yeah.
Every
It's a
week,
day I
man.
look forward to for sure.
Me too, me too.
Absolutely. And so this is our 5th episode, and I already predict that it will be our best. What you're looking forward to in this episode is not only the charts and the hype and much, much more, but also this is part of the 2.5 hour pre-game that we're hosting before Richard Hart interviews Adam Stokes live. And so you're in for a very good Tuesday night. Now, let me run this intro, and then we'll get started taking a look at what we've got to show you tonight. Now, normally I would save this for the end, but you guys, I think at the beginning of this episode, we have to take a look at what the updated numbers are for how undervalued Hex is in terms of what a single market buy would do based on February 28th data. And so, as you can see here on the screen, this was Hex Bull that put this one together, and it's showing that a single buy order on ETHEX.com, which is a Uniswap front end, doing a $4.2 million buy would 10x the price of Hex. A $17 million buy would 100x the price. And so that would, and then only $250 million would put Hex from under a penny to $50.
Let's do it.
Wow, that's nothing, man. That's crazy. I mean, you got to understand what this is. This instrument is a financial asset. You know, it's a financial product. Financial markets. I mean, $250 million is small. Like that's one transaction in some cases.
Yep.
I mean, that won't be the case in a crypto market because it's so new. But that doesn't mean somebody isn't going to put 250 million in it, right? And I mean one body, not multiple.
And now it's actually kind of funny because, part of some of the news drop that I've been gathering for the last couple of days, like a lot more money is getting into crypto, and you hear more about, not just Michael Saylor, but, Twitter and things like that, moving millions and billions of dollars. So it's like, this will always ricochet and come down and then ready to explode at any moment. Like, again, that's what we're talking about. Get your T-shares now because the price is about to become very, very, very expensive. And then you don't want to have another buyer's remorse or in terms of, I missed this, I missed that, instead of chugging along. But that's an important chart. It's important to remember. It only takes one or a few middle to come in and boom.
That's right. That's right. You know what?
Absolutely. And I wanted to throw out also the news that we're on Clubhouse right now. And
Nice.
Kevin is assisting with routing Karim's audio on there. So you can go ahead and check us out. I tweeted out the invite to be able to see us on Clubhouse if you are on Clubhouse. And I'm also in the process of applying to be one of the beta testers for the Twitter Spaces, which is their version of Clubhouse.
Nice.
So,
Again, shout out to Kevin. Definitely appreciate the assist. So
thank
awesome.
you. And thank you. Be free. Thank you for the cheer. I appreciate it. Now, I promised you 3 different screens here, and the other 2. Okay, maybe it's only this one counts for 2. How about that?
That's the best one.
Yeah.
Chart looks nice up and to the right. Get
Look,
ready.
the longer we go sideways, the faster we're gonna go upward. Period. That's just how the math works, man. Simple as that. So it might be boring now, but all that's doing is giving us more and more opportunity to accumulate more, because that's just how the markets work. And again, just look at any chart for any market that's in a bull trend. Sideways equals projection further higher, and that's just, that's just, it's kind of like a coil building, right? And a coil building is building its kinetic energy to, once it's released, it's just going to be a powerful momentum move. And what we're going to end up seeing is literally something vertical, like we saw in graph, like 2 months after or 2 days after it went on the Coinbase or whatever it was. Like, that's literally what's going to happen, because that's just how markets move. Because once the sellers are done, what else is there left?
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. All that's left is the psychology of the strongest hands that have ever existed in crypto, which are not as apparent, right? If you're not in the community and knowing the players
Correct.
involved, then you're underestimating Hex for sure. And this is what we're looking at here. This was tweeted out by the mysterious account of the official Hex crypto. And then Richard, the founder of Hex, retweeted it, right? So it didn't come directly from his account. But this is what we like to call the random line chart. And it's named that because the founder does not make any promises about the future price and doesn't make forward-looking price statements about the price of Hex. But it turns out that he's called all the tops and bottoms in Bitcoin and Ethereum and Hex in in the last couple of years, 3 years, 4 years. So we really like it when he drops clues like this. And what we've been seeing is that that they come out about once a week, which is how often the Quant Gang meets. Right. And they tend to come out on the same day we're meeting, or maybe a day before. And and it seems like the upper bound, or the line that's going up and to the right, it seems like it's reaching higher and higher on that y-axis than ever before. So I think one of the weeks that we met, it went up to what? $7 or $10, I think. And then one time it went up, maybe it's going up to 40 or 50. I don't even remember the numbers, but this one looks like it's going up to $100 per hex. So we will see.
But you see, what I like about this is, more importantly, two things that you've said and Wells has said, right, is that the players involved and also the opportunity. And I think it's important that we unpack that. And it's really related to my excitement, actually, because more players are coming in. Again, breaking news, if you didn't know from last time, but I literally average talking 3 to 5 new people every day throughout the onboarding process. And every now and then, today we're working with Kyle, and then I posted on Twitter. It's like people that understand long-term value, understand what we've been talking about all along in those streams, and understand that with that plus mass adoption plus onboarding, this chart will actually accelerate the process even more. Because the more people understand how Hex works, the faster kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy happens, because that's what it's designed to do. And more importantly, the more even existing player that may not fully understand how it works start to behave the perfect way that the system like, the faster this thing will happen. And in terms of opportunity, some people need to realize, especially if you're not done accumulating, or if you're new, that this is your opportunity to buy before the price reach those astronomical levels, if you're looking to build your base and stuff like that. And that's what is exciting to me. It's insane. And I'm working on even bigger account. And, just like in Hex, we don't do expectation. We wait until they get done, right? Today, I tweeted what Cal did today, which is amazing. Staked over 8 million Hex, okay? At current price, this is almost like ballpark around 70 grand, okay?
Right.
At a penny, that's $80,000, okay? This is insane. And again, staking ladder all the way to 555. right? Dream account style, right? All on his Staker app. He won both of the promotion, which is awesome. And he understand the bigger amount out of the whole is stake for 15 years, which is, again, you do it backward. You start with the big amount and you fill the blank in between. So one of those things is very important to realize, repetition and people getting better, learning better. And shout out to Wells too, because he said, again, watching our stream, watching the charts, the break it down helps. You know what I'm saying? And also, again, any size, from people just winning the competition to people just staking two, three, four, $500. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, not at all.
Understanding how it works, and they're all starting with their longest stay, their 555, and then now week over week or once every paycheck, they get to fill in the blank, create their own dream account, the dream ladder, and the excitement in people's face. It is just amazing. You know, talking to them, being excited, using the app, everything's seamless. And wanted to update another announcement, which is really important, regarding the promotion. And Maddie, this one, until further notice, is a permanent promotion. I want to make that clear.
Whoa.
It's going ape because the result is being astonishing. So this one is a permanent. It's basically a piggyback of the what I call the Erin referral program, because she's just that awesome. But now we're doing it permanently until further notice, until maybe I run out of money or something and I decide, okay, I'll tweet. But until further notice, anybody, especially for the Staker app, whether you use the ref link or not, this is the key. If you want to use the ref link, great. If you don't, that's fine. Again, Karim operates out of abundance. Very important. Ref link or not, get your friend in, get your friend onboarded, okay? Reach out to me. All right. Shout out to another person. I don't want to give up his name, but I have another person from the Telegram chat. Reach out to me. Already got 5 referral. 5, Maddie. He's on. Turned on. Wow. Ready to go. Reach out to me. Took it to our advantage. Came in. I said, don't worry about it. Just send them in. But know what to do. They got to make sure they use the wallet. It costs money. Okay. And fortunately, which is amazing, follow up with me, sending me screenshot, accountability. That's what community is about. So I'm going to remove all the roadblocks for you. So you're going to go do you. So some of you out there, this is a great earning opportunity, because over time, as you continue to do what you do every day, which is what human beings do, you refer to things that you like. You refer to things that you know are beneficial.
It's that simple, Karim, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And then we'll continue this to perpetuity, and you can turn a nice income stream for yourself as well. And knowing the power of what Hex can do, and you get a satisfaction that you help people out, build out their own financial freedom, reach out their own financial way. And then the network effect helps everybody. You see, that is the key, right? It's a worthwhile investment because Hex is built that way, that you can just wait, delay gratification. And honestly, when the price goes up so much, you don't even need, you only need to take what you need. And I made another joke on the trading chat when people saying, hey, how do you not be a maxi when you only talk about Hex? I said, no, I'm not a maxi. You know what I mean? I'll trade my Hex, you know, for what? For something called T-shares. Well, I'm swapping for the Hex T-shares. You get what I'm saying? So when they ask you, anybody listening,
it's so true, right?
Anybody listening,
maxi.
I'm a T-share maxi,
you,
really.
Hey, you Hexicans all maxi. No, we're not maxi. We got 2 coins, okay? We got Hex and then we got T-shares. So every time a maxi is talking crap, just say, hey, nah, I'm swapping my Hex for T-shares, because this is what it means. Again, level 3 understanding. When I say 1 T-share over a Bitcoin, what does that mean? That means that as Hex becomes more valuable, which is great, T-share is becoming even more valuable because it accelerates. That's why in the system, the T-share is more valuable than the Hex. That doesn't mean the Hex is not going to be valuable. That just means that as a factor of a multiplier, the T-share will be multiplying more valuable. And I think, Maddie, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're very close. I haven't checked today, but we're very close to 17,000 Hex per T-share, aka 70% increase since inception. That is a big, big deal, which means hypothetically, if today Hex is up, let's say it goes up 1,000x or 1,000x or whatever, that means that you got to take that and then multiply 70% of that. It's a force multiplier to know how high your T-share is going to be. The same way at the height when we did 352x, your T-share did 500 plus because of that force multiplier. So understand that, and then good joke, tell the maxis, you're swapping your Hex for the T-shares. You're building the T-share. The T-shares is like your so-called Bitcoin. It's the thing you want to hold the most, and you know they're so scarce that even they're so scarier than Bitcoin, because after 15 years they still go away and you have to renew them. That is insane. Bitcoin doesn't even have that. You know, another little trick right there. Hex clip, I hope you cut that. But this is the key, and this is the good joke. You can tell when somebody say, hey, Hexicans are maximalists, say, nah, we got 2 coins. We got Hex and we got T-shares. So stack on those. Buy the dip. When things fall flat like that, it's a perfect time for you to come in, and it's a perfect time for you to bring your friend in so they can get a decent price, because there's plenty of liquidity right now, enough for you to build your stash. So I just wanted to mention that.
Perfect. Yeah. Wow. What a generous, like, definitely. So that's another thing that's different between Bitcoin and Hex, right? When I explain Bitcoin versus Hex to people, especially in these new Clubhouse rooms, it's like, okay, well, imagine if Bitcoin had a feature where you could lock it so that you don't sell it too early. You could time lock Bitcoin and it paid interest, right? Like, and you don't have to give your Bitcoin to anybody else in order to achieve that interest. And you have people like Karim and Whales in the community here who are literally giving away their knowledge. They're giving away, you know, like giveaways and stuff. Like it's really, it's not a situation where you have a tragedy of the commons. I did an episode a week or two ago about how the lead dev, a contributor in Bitcoin, quit. He said, I don't want to be responsible for all this. And he was the one who was doing the most pull requests or whatever on the Bitcoin Core group. But so I think it's fascinating that that the community here does not suffer from the tragedy of the commons the way that other
absolutely. And Maddie, that's a great point, because the system is that well designed. What's going on, John?
Yo, what's up? Can you guys hear me?
You're almost as black as me.
Not quite.
Doing good. Good to see you, man. That's awesome.
Glad to have you here, man.
Another great contributor right there to the community. Perfect timing, as we're
sure.
talking about. And Maddie, what I think is amazing is that because the system is that well designed, that's why we don't get the tragedy of the common. That's why naturally, for those who are, again, playing chess, not checkers, right? They can do what I do. They can do what, you know, John does a lot of work, especially managing all the Telegram and all the craziness going on that I've seen. And again, it gave me confidence when I came in. Okay, this is a well-run ship. We are a community. We don't tolerate nonsense. Again, we're not nice people. We're kind, right? You do good, you get good. You do bad, you're going to get cleaned up. But also, it creates that accountability, which then provide that cushion. So when new people come in, they can invest thousands of dollars and be like, oh, well, this thing's actually, it's run by people that apply common sense, but also don't tolerate nonsense either. So when you have that, plus a well-designed system, then you get a scenario where everybody can be creative, even build a business, you know, like Sticker App has done, and provide another great service for the community, which then helps everybody via network effect anyway. And ultimately, what I try to do personally with my promotion is you still need to do something. For you to get the knowledge from the live stream, guess what? You got to be on the live stream. Sometime 6 hours in, and then the nuggets that you were waiting for the day, boom, drops. Yep. Imagine you were not there. You missed it. Right. So you're applying that logic and you're spending that time. Right. Cal is a great example today. But guess what? Cal committed. That's the point. He took advantage. He took action. He's like, oh, promotion. Yeah, I'm going to get that. Boom. I'm going to build my dream account, dream wallet. Boom. I'm going to get the hoodie because it looks nice. And more importantly, because I spend the time, I'm committed. I know what's going on. Then I build my ladder, which will help him years down the road. I've even made this small little quick math explaining to somebody how even if you were just to stake, listen to this, if you were to stake just the minimum for the hoodie promotion, right? The 55,555, that's about roughly right now $480, almost $500, whatever. Over 15 years, and if let's say conservatively we only do 100x, I know in crypto, right? Only 100x in 15 years. This $500 will turn into literally something around $250,000 to $300,000. That is insane. Again, see, accountability. He ran it by me. We talked about it. Man of action. He took action. Boom. And he sent me all those screenshots. And it's like, Karim, look, I did it. Epic. And then why I waited 7 p.m., I just wanted to make sure the day rolls over. You know, you don't want the haters to be like, oh, yeah, he can cancel anytime, this, that. Nah, Cal don't play that game. Run his number, dream account setup. The biggest stake is the longest stake. Shout out, he sent me a cool picture. Again, that is just so cool. And just like it doesn't get any better than that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just very, very excited, and I wanted to share right away. So again, God bless. Great friends. He's in the Telegram too. You know, give him a shout out, definitely. So,
Thank you.
But yeah. So to recap, the promo right now, the live promo, and definitely anybody you got that's serious, Karim got you. I will turn on your wallet. Okay. Me and Firebond, we have a system going on. It goes quick. You want to use my ref link? Great. You don't want to use it? That's fine. Bring a serious person that's willing to stake, especially for the long term, the better, right? Even if it's just like Wells were talking about earlier, even if it's like $100, $200, it doesn't matter. As long as you understand the value and the build long term, reach out to me. Use that ref link. That can turn into a business generator for some of you guys who are 100% crypto and may not have like a regular job or whatever, because you're spreading the word, you're pumping your own bag, and more importantly, you're helping people understand and you're onboarding them. And I promise you, they get so excited. They see how seamless it is, all in one. Security first. Watch out for the imposters out there. Got to talk about it over and over and over again, right? The whole process does not need anything about you sharing a private key or anything like that. Maddie, that's important. Let's do a house cleaning on that. So the process is literally you download the ref link, whoever, mine, yours, doesn't matter. They install the Staker app. They safely store their 24-word key. Ideally, I personally recommend pen and paper. That's it. You never know what somebody has downloaded before. Safely stored. And then you only send me the email address that they use to sign in, and it could be a brand new random email address. We only need that to find it into the system. So I can say, hey, this one, turn it on, please. And then we turn it on. I get back to you. Boom, your friend is ready to go, or you are ready to go if it's your wallet. Boom. You got another one? Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Cream.
You never share your seed words,
yes.
Even if there's a Karim imposter, and you never accept seed words from somebody else.
Exactly. The process does not need that. That is the most important thing. So it's just email address. That's it. And I'm sure in the future, we're going to have something even more cooler coming out, maybe like fingerprint through your app store, this, that, whatever, because I know Nasty Safe has some great things. So again, for future, this is to me the most game changing, because MetaMask still has this export private key function that I don't like. Staker doesn't have that. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So, but yeah, security and safety first. So
thank you. Yeah. Amazing. As always.
So John, how was your day so far?
Good.
What's new?
Good, man. Just been pretty busy. Got up pretty early, so I've just been out and about doing stuff. But yeah, just definitely wanted to make the stream before Richard came on and do my quarterly check-in, I guess, because the last time was the conference, which was a great success. So congrats to you guys both spoke, and Matt and Maddie again. Thanks for hosting. That was a lot of fun, and I was pretty nervous to be honest. But when I rewatched it, I felt like I did okay. So
you
did
man.
great.
Your segment was to the point. Just content.
Yeah, I was surprised it ended exactly at 10 minutes. So
yeah,
down to the second.
That's what I we rehearsed it.
Yeah, unrehearsed too. So, but anyways, yeah, I just had some questions for you guys and some thoughts and ideas to throw out there from a different perspective. Obviously, I am a numbers guy like you guys, but I also like the fundamentals and look at the chain analysis and some of the stake expiring stuff. So I wanted to just throw some ideas and thoughts to you guys and kind of see what shows up.
Sounds great.
Perfect.
Great. Let's do
Maddie,
it.
before we do that, can you just pull up that tweet? Because I just want to harp on this a little bit and why 555 stakes are important. I found
Absolutely.
this.
What tweets do you want me to pull up here?
I think you talk about my tweet, right?
No.
Oh,
The one that I sent you in the private chat. Let me send it again.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. I'll send it again. Because it's basically, so I opened on my Coinbase today randomly, never really do. And I see this little promo there. And I'm like, well, how about this? This will be important for tonight's stream because this is what I've been talking about for the past couple weeks. Asset collateralization. This is.
Oh, I remember that. That's what I heard, yeah.
Boom.
That's the holy grail, yeah.
That's how you never sell your assets.
Yep.
That's how the rich stay rich.
Yep.
That's how you build generational wealth. You need to understand how finance actually works.
Yep.
Don't go out here believing you have to be involved in pump and dumps. You don't have to be involved in pump and dumps. You could literally sit back, stake 4x5, and collect 40% APR, compounding. I mean, literally, and just wait for the numbers to run, and then you're good.
And less taxable event too, which is huge. That is your biggest expense.
Exactly.
The pump and dump will get you wrecked.
Anytime you conduct a transaction in the market where you're exchanging one asset for another into fiat, that is a taxable event. This eliminates that taxable event every time. Every time. And guess what? Cash only goes down in value. Period. And that's all I have to say about that.
It's just something real quick. I'm sure some troll might say, oh, in my jurisdiction, no tax, this and that. But understand that most people are not in that case. And it's always like that until you forget about it. You make a move, you move somewhere, you transfer, and next thing you know, you get caught with your pants down. So you don't want to create that's the key word, a necessary taxable event, which is why, again, Hex is so great because we even have that good accounting function. And more importantly, about building wealth, we can't stress that enough because that's how you end up being stress-free and you don't end up selling too early and you don't need that because, again, you can do the collateralization. So the longer and stronger Hex become, the higher and easier it could become one of those because it's all about what the person is willing to accept, right? The same way Bitcoin used to be a joke. Now, Wells tweet says, hey, you can borrow against your Bitcoin, right? It's the same thing. It will
change. Things change every day, and you have to understand how markets work. This is the only crypto that is an actual asset, period. Bitcoin isn't even one.
Because I'm so excited. I can't give anyone details, but I'm personally working on something. And then it's going to be a little bit towards that. And again, we're not going to say anything on this.
Right, but John Wick loves to talk about fundamentals. Let's talk about fundamentals, John.
So I just want to throw in my comment on this that I'm a little suspicious of, collateralizing things for a number of reasons. And maybe you guys can teach me something or put my mind at ease or back me up here. But it's like this is a form of going long on Bitcoin. Who's holding the Bitcoin? Are they gonna wick you down and liquidate you? And are we rebuilding the old system on the new system versus having something that people hold themselves? And I think Hex does a really nice job of defaulting into you hold it yourself. You don't have to rely on centralized exchanges to earn interest and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's important to dissociate the difference because that's a great point. So on one hand, when you're talking about the degen style margin trader crap, that's the fastest way you're gonna get liquidated. What we're talking about
100x.
Yeah, right. Because again, you borrow too much against the collateral, which they will allow purposely, so the wick will get you liquidated. Their computer is going to liquidate you because they can do it decentralized. That's what the whole compound and stuff was about. So the custody is going to be an issue, but what's going to get you liquidated is the borrowing versus the collateral. Because like in trading, which I do not propose and promote, the only some of the good one, the expert, they understand that it's about the management of the trade, the assets. That's really what makes you the winner.
I think I get it now. Like, not only do you never have to sell Bitcoin, but like then you don't have to pay taxes on it, and so that's actually it's
simple
underlying. It's using the tricks that already exist that the wealthy use,
Correct.
but it's applying it to the crypto space.
A basic example for anybody watching right now. Let's say you have $100,000, just a basic example. And then you can use that as collateral, responsible human being, kind of what you would do with your house. Maybe you go borrow 20 grand. But more importantly, what I preach, and I've said it many times before, way back when I was using my car as an example, you need to know what you're going to do with the money before you borrow the money. There's plenty of money out there. This is the number one reason why people get wrecked. Okay. Yeah. And when you borrow money, you should always do something that's going to be income generating. So in terms of assets, now you can be the asset. You are your number one asset. If you invest in your knowledge and stuff that you want to do in the future that makes you more valuable, right? When I was learning sales, I had to go to seminar, I had to buy books, this and that. That's an expense, but it made me better and my income grew because I got better at what I do. That's an investment. Another investment could be, again, basic thing about property, something that's going to generate a return. And then you'll be able to return the collateral and then leave off the profit. That is the healthy way to do it. And you understand it's not a get rich quick scheme. It takes time and you only need the seed money to do what you need to do. Now, the degen, what they do is they're just like, hey, I just went up 20%. I don't like it. I want it to be 100%. So let me go borrow more money that I don't actually have when something already pumped, thinking that it's going to pump tomorrow again. And then when it goes against you, that's when you get wrecked. So this is kind of the difference on top of the fact that, yes, Maddie, the taxable advantage is key versus the trader who always get taxed.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, okay. So thanks for breaking that down for me.
Does that make more sense now, Maddie?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Now, John, what do you have for us? What questions and insights do you bring?
All right. So the first one's kind of a fun one, but it starts with a Gandhi quote, which is, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. Mm-hmm. So my question is to you guys is, what stage of evolution is Hex within that quote, and why? So it's first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win.
Well, if you ask me, I'm fairly confident when we're in the ignore stage.
Ignore.
Yeah.
Ignore.
That's what I was gonna say.
So we're still in the first evolution of Hex from that standpoint, as becoming widely accepted. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
To me, I'm going to use an analogy. I think it's more fitting because I see where Will is coming from, because again, he has that macro big view. But I think it's the similar analogy of the big pond and the small pond. In other words, when you're young, what we talk about, the 80-20 and the 1%, is you're part of the 80%, then you become part of the 1%, then you move to the bigger pond, and then you rinse and repeat, right? You do sales, then maybe you move to a team lead, then you move to management, then you move to director, things like that. At every level, you're going to have that competition to be in that 1%. So if we're talking about in the crypto sphere, and let's say DeFi, I think we already won in that. Now, when we move to the next level, when we talk about Ethereum and the whole staking and everything like that, we are in that fighting phase right now. Because what I'm feeling is like, oh, they know Hex this and that, but then people are still acting like, oh yeah, 40%. Man, Maddie, why would I want 40%? I can go to that pump and dump over there, and then it goes up like 10x or 5x. Or look at ADA, look at Binance. So they play that, but they don't understand that it's all good until the bear market shows up again, and you're gonna realize how valuable Hex is. And then you go to the macro stage, like Wells talking about, compared to the rest of the world, adoption, this and that. Yeah, we're not even on the map. So I would say
I should have lied to my friends and told them that Hex was a security so that they would put as much money into it as they do XRP.
Yeah.
Because like literally, like how I onboarded my friend, like someone they never heard of it or anything. They just trust me, and then this and that. But they heard about crypto, Bitcoin, Dogecoin because of freaking Elon or whatever, or they've seen some ads on TV. But at the global like no coiner stage, yes, we're kind of like. But when you're in the space, which matters because there's still billions of dollars in the space, and we can start to eat inside the pie that we're in, on top of getting the global adoption too. So I focus on the global because it's the low-hanging fruit, because like Wells says, we're at the stage where we're being ignored. So it's easy picking in. But I also pay attention to the intermediate. So I hope that answers your question, because this is a very good question, but I think there's multi-layer to it.
Yeah, because it's kind of true, right? Because in a lot of senses, Hex is still kind of ignored within the DeFi community, from my perspective, right? And the reason I say that is, like, I remember when I first started looking into DeFi, Hex is like nowhere to be found anywhere. All you see are these, yield farming sites, the usual suspects. I don't need to go into detail, but you don't see Hex anywhere. But it's really the only real DeFi coin out there, period. So I found that interesting. And anywhere you look, Hex is pretty much shadow banned to some degree or another. So I will stick to ignored, even though it's just really obvious that they know what time it is.
Yep. And that's when the gatekeeping comes in too, because there's a lot of that creates that. But what I love the most is, again, because I like to think big picture, and to me it's go big or go home. So I will ultimately, if I have to choose which bucket to play, I want to be in the biggest bucket. So then I will have to agree with Wells and say, yeah, we're in the ignore phase. Because again, I'm focused on no coiners. I just so happen to like, hey, let me throw a promo so all the inners that see what's going on, that watch the live stream, they can just kind of get their position in, because we don't want people to be salty, like, oh man, I used to be in Hex, I was here in the beginning, and then a bunch of random quote unquote no coiners showed up, and then now they're the cool guys and I'm just a pleb. When it's like, Karim's going to remove that excuse. I'm like, no. You knew. I've said that before, man, right? We're going to play back those videos. You knew. We've been talking to you about it since day one. Stop gambling your Hex. Stake that shit long and strong. You knew. Oh, yeah, the gas fee. Stake long. Oh, yeah, stake. Well, I'll pay for it. What's next? What's the next excuse you're going to use? It comes down to taking action so that your future self will thank you for it. So when new people comes in, you don't get salty about it. You just welcome everybody because it pumps everybody's bag and everything's cool. But it's a truth engine for a reason. Right now, Hex is on a discount. And sooner or later, breaking news again, because I know how the Wells thinks, it's common sense. All these unstaking that people are worried about, you should be looking at it like deadline. Because when those half a trillion T-share comes out, 500,000 T-share comes out, we're gonna ratchet even faster. Yep. And the separation gets more and more severe. You're going to get to a point where some people are going to get 40% and some people will barely get 20% on the highest end. That's what's going to happen. But you have that opportunity, because if you don't, share rate will go up, then price will go up, and you'll be a double whammy. And then if you don't have enough to buy, then you will get even less T-shares. So understand that mechanics now, lock it in for the long term. Because if the price 100x, and let's say you had 10K and 10K turned into like almost 1 million, then you realize that, wait a minute, I don't want to create taxable event. Maybe I only need like 20 grand. So if you start think ahead, right, play chess, not checkers, and be like, okay, I got 10 grand right now, example. I got 10 grand right now. I'm expecting the price to 100x in the long term. I believe in the project long term. That means that what I have is not 10 grand. That means what I have is 1 million. That's just an example. And then if I really need, 10 to 20 grand to just play around to pay expenses or whatever within the foreseeable future, then you can look at it like that and do the reverse 100x, which means I only need to hold like, maybe 2 grand or 2 grand liquid, stake the whole thing, and then just wait for the price to pump. And then I can just leave off that 2 grand, which now turn into 20 grand or 200,000. You know what I mean? So it's just, those are the things that you got to look at and think like that ahead of what's about to.
So what you're saying is, when I waste money on something like pizza and I'm wasting my fiat dollars, there's actually the opportunity cost that I'm spending Hex that is priceless. Is that what you're saying?
It's exactly what I'm saying. Mighty, example, I would swap my credit card, pay fee before I spend any Hex. That's the level of pettiness I'm in right now. Just to let you know,
going back to the beginning, you could just use it as collateral. So yeah, if it started at 10K and it's now $1 million, you can take collateral at that present value, which is probably $1 million. So you put in 10K as an initial investment, but you're borrowing, let's say 20% of your account value. So you get 200K liquid that you can access for whatever purpose, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be a one size fits all. Like you have to only put income producing assets, right? You can put in other things. But yeah, I thought that would be a good segue.
Can I borrow against my Bitcoin and buy Hex?
Sure.
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
Or any of the DeFi lending protocols, you could. Yeah.
So let's go into that a little bit. So when that happens, what's actually going on is that a bank is looking at your total net worth, right? They're looking at your balance sheet. That's basically what's happening. And when they look at your balance sheet, they say, hey, you're worth X. So we'll give you a percentage Y of your worth. And you'll be obviously able to pay that back because you're worth that. And it's that simple.
And in a funny way, guys, this is the ethics behind, to some degree, the whole credit score system. It's what you learn if you know Robert Kiyosaki and cash flow quadrant and whatever. This is literally what company looking for, right? The balance sheet, right? What's the income? What's the expense? What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, so imagine just like that in crypto. But in crypto, it's going to be even better, which is why it's even more important, because there's not going to be some. I don't know.
There's no middleman. There's not
middleman that say, hey, you know what? Hey, Wells, I don't like you, so doesn't matter.
You're 100% right.
Alone. Like literally.
Eventually, there's going to be some blockchain coin that does this.
Exactly. All automated. You meet the requirement, boom, approve. Send the money. Done.
This is what I call free claim 2.0.
Right.
So borrow against your Bitcoin.
Airdrop 3.0.
And free claim your Hex now.
Yeah. But very important. And it
Not
goes back to
financial
what John
advice.
just
This
said.
is an entertainment show.
You need to make sure, because again, it's a vicious cycle. You always start like that, and then you get freaking liquidated. Do not be over leveraged. Do not borrow more than what you need.
Correct.
So
if you say 20%, that's good because it's very conservative.
So banks aren't, they're not looking to give you like a 50% value loan, right? Like they're looking to give you something small, right? But the reality is that Hex is going to be worth so much in the future that it's going to be worth enough that you're not going to have to work. You'll be able to live off those. Like it's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy.
Sometimes they will purposely trick you to borrow more because they want to get you liquidated. So
hold
they
on.
Can realize
housing crisis.
I literally open these type of accounts every day.
There you go.
Every day. So yes, they look to get you to borrow as much as possible because they benefit from that. Because it bolsters their balance sheet because now they have more assets, right? So everybody wins, right? Everybody wins. But you know, I don't think it'll be like that in crypto, but it'll be something to that degree.
Yep. No, absolutely. It will be. And then the cool thing what I like about the 20% of John is like quick math is if you have 100%, let's say worst case scenario, which easily could happen in crypto, let's say the thing tanked 50%, right? For whatever reason. Well, guess what? Because you borrow 20% in the beginning and then the collateral got cut in half, you're still okay. Make sense? Because the 50% that's left will still cover the 20% that you borrow. Make sense? The problem is when I'm sorry.
Why do I hear Richard screaming in my head? Crypto corrects, even BTC corrects 85%.
And it could be. Again, you're making my point. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to scare somebody to be like, oh, I can't borrow 20% of my stash.
Here's the thing. By the time that happens, you're gonna have so much of a foundation built based on just interest alone that it's not even gonna be a factor.
Exactly.
Right. Like your capital is gonna be negligible. Because you're going to make more in interest multiple times over.
Yes. The bottom line is this. Just be sensible with the amount that you borrow on it. Because remember, their goal is to get you liquidated because they get your free money. That's what they do on the DeFi on purpose. They get people comfortable borrowing. Oh, it works. Look, no crash. And then when they actually crash the market, which is a perfect segue, breaking news again if you guys are not paying attention, but F2 pool is still dumping. They're dumping.
Wow.
Hey man, we issued a sentiment check a couple weeks ago. We issued it again last week. You know, we keep the people in tune with the market and how it's actually flowing. Right? We're not just over here to
because they don't want Bitcoin to be above 50K because that can be created another rally. And again, they also have their short contract and all this other stuff. So they want to do that manipulation, even though it's risky because they can get short squeeze and that thing can just lift off. But this is what's been happening while price is actually going down. And actually, I'm impressed that it's that stable because the outflow from that pool is massive. They're basically the one doing the dumping.
Hey man, the network effect is no joke. The network effect is no joke. Like, people have to understand, this is what's going to happen.
They're going to run out of Bitcoin. Sooner or later, again, you think you're big until the bigger well comes and just eat you up. Oh, you got 200,000 Bitcoin. You think you're a big shot. You want to dump the market. You play that for a little bit.
I mean,
comes the time.
You're talking about 3-digit Bitcoin is, several $1 million.
Yeah.
3 to 4 digits of Bitcoin is, it's 7 digits, 8 digits easy. Once you get into the 4 digits of Bitcoin, it's crazy.
Yeah, now, John, how many questions do we have to get through here?
I got several more. Should we?
Oh yeah, sure. John,
oh, I'm sorry.
That Matt.
I didn't know it was a whole question. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're sorry.
It's all good. All good. So back to some of the staking, the large stakes that came undone recently. So the one that came undone on the 26th was about $1 billion, and 95% of it was OA. So was that big good accounting and then unstaked sitting liquid. So we don't have to worry about that stake at all. And then the next large one is the 15th. Mm-hmm. And then based on all the analysis from Silver, the Antidote, and some of the other people that have been streaming, and some of the chain analysis that I've looked at too, all the signs point to it potentially being the Three Arrows Capital fund. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like they have any intention to dump now, especially since they have such long stakes in the future. And this was like one of their shortest stakes. So they're going to collect the big payday. So it's going to be way more than the 1.3 billion or whatever it is. So it's going to be maybe closer to 2, but it doesn't seem like there's any reason for them to dump at this point, especially with the liquidity being less than 100 million hex in the Uni V2 pool. Yes. So I don't think we should be worried about that as a potential cataclysmic event. It seems like just they're going to restake and then figure out the next, maybe have a board meeting and decide how they're going to stake the remainder, 2 billion hex. And they're already the largest holder and staker of hex. So it doesn't seem like the number one staker of hex would try to destroy it entirely, as it's still being, developed in its, 14-month existence.
Right.
Absolutely. And again, this is a prime example where logic trumps the math. And I agree with you 100%. Although, again, full disclosure, I do not know those people, because to me, it's common sense logic. Now, a couple speculation ideas that I think is happening, and also watching that video from Silver, is, again, those people are long-term minded. And what I like in the video that he had breakdown is they're actually kind of like that Warren Buffett style, net buyer of stock. If a winner is winning, right, 350x in a year, that's no joke, right? You want to keep the winner. So just thanks to share increase happening, if they want to stay, like you said, be one of the biggest or the biggest owner of T-shares, minus the OA, then it will make sense that they will have to respect the majority of those just to be able to maintain those T-shares if they decide to stay short term. So they have kind of two trade-offs they got to do. They either maintain, and again, to me, anything like 1 year stuff, to me, I call that short term because I'm a long-term guy. So if they decide to do some of that, they're going to have to restake at least roughly 50% of the big payday just to get back to the same T-share total that they have. So it's either they restake the majority of it or all of it for a short period of stake, just to monitor that the system is doing what it's supposed to be doing, which makes sense. And then, yes, if there's a big bull run again, not if, when, because network effect's going to kick in. If they want to offload some liquidity during that time, that's smart, and then the system is not crashed, so that's another option. Or they just stake very, very long, get the bonus T-shares, so that allows them to have maybe a couple 100 mil or 500 mil just sitting liquid. And then the inflation is not as bad on those because the other party got staked for another 10, 15 years. Does that make sense? I hope I didn't lose anybody, but that's kind of the logic. And this is the beauty about how the staking mechanism is in terms of kind of creating a portfolio. That's why I always tell people your first stake should always be the longest stake. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to build T-shares preservation, and you're leveraging that 2x. So if you have 30% of your stash stacked and staked for the longest time, you get that 3x. It acts as if you stake 90% of your stack for like a year. Maddie, we're getting a little echo. So.
Let's cut the clubhouse for now, and we'll just focus on the huge audience that we have here on video.
Yeah, please. Because what I'm about to talk about is very important. I want people to pay attention because this is a great strategy. So again, quick math. Step one, the first stake is always the longest stake. 555, highly recommended. We already talked about it at length because 10 year to 15 year, that extra 5 years, you don't want to gamble with that because share rate's going to explode by then. That's what you do. Then if you know that you want to stake maybe 80% and then stay 20% liquid, okay, that's just an example. Again, I'm more like 90%, but let's just say 80-20, 80% stake and 20% liquid. If you want to do something like that, another idea is you take 30% of the stash, you stake that to the maximum, and it's going to act as if you stake 90% on the stash because you get the bonus T-share to cover your wealth, which is the T-share preservation. And then with the remaining 70%, now you can work that staking ladder of 5 year, 8 years, 7 year, whatever, 3, 2, 1 on a small decay. Just like, again, my friend Cal did after we discussed how he came up with this great staking ladder that he did, 15 years, 10 years, and then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 type of thing. Because you're doing T-share preservation and you're also protecting yourself against any potential downsides, price movement, or if you have an emergency, or better yet, there's a big pump and then you say, hey, I want to offload some of it. So this is kind of the trick. So how do we readjust that to 3 Arrow Capital? My humble opinion is that they like the project. They're most likely going to restake most of it. And they're going to have to do T-share preservation because I think, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but that stake was pre-big payday, right? So there were Genesis T-shares, correct?
Yeah, they were.
Perfect. So now
they accumulated a bunch. Yeah, during like the middle of the year. Yeah.
Perfect. So because share rate now is about 70% higher, and make no mistake, when that thing comes out plus the big payday payout, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 17,200 or some crazy number because it's going to be a lot. And then when that happens, when they go to restake, my assumption, again, common sense, is they want to at least maintain the same amount of T-share that they had. So just to account for the 70% increase, plus maintaining the T-share that they have, they will have to take a big portion of it and stake it for the long term, just to get the bonus T-share to compensate for the share rate increase. Or what they will do is take a smaller amount and then just 555 it. But the bottom line is they have longer stakes. They're here for the long term. And again, nothing wrong with people taking profits. If they want to offload some of it, that's fine. Me, my Hexicans, and all the new on board, we're going to be right there to gobble it up. But the most important event, and I'll conclude with this, you want to get your stakes in, irrespective of what 3 Arrow Capital does. Hear me loud and clear. When that stake comes undone and end stake, you're going to have a worse share rate in hex term than what it is today. Drill that into your brain. You should look at it like, this is my last day to stake long and strong, get as many free T-shares as I can. Because again, when you think about 3x multiplier, it's a big deal. When share rate goes up 10%, that means that in 555 talk, that means it went up 30%. Because before then, you could have staked that, get that secure, and 3x that. Again, understand the math. It's very important. Share rate act like it's moving slow, but it's not. It's moving extremely fast. It's compounding. You just don't realizing it because it does a little bit until and then it explodes on you. Because it has a force multiplier on it. The first force multiplier is the fact that you can do a 555 bonus T-share. The second force multiplier to that is that hex price can go up, which also makes a T-share more valuable and more expensive. So before you start worried about the end staking, you should be worried about staking before that thing comes out. Right, Maddie? What's the name of the stream today?
Emergency start stake. Because in Hex, there's a big red button that you don't want to press on go.hex.com that says emergency end stake. And that's when you wreck things. But the only other way really you could get wrecked is by not starting a stake and just hanging out on the sidelines, not participating in a system that is revolutionizing economics, right? And so trademark, Hex Quant Gang 2021, all rights given to the staker class.
Amen. Shout out to them. So yeah, John, hopefully that answers your question. I know it's a little bit long, but I want to kind of unpack that because again, I'm using logic, and if I'm a whale, that's what I do because I push share price up, I push share rate up, and guess what? Just for fun, I might just pump the price too, just because I want to protect my bag. Why would I give away free hex or cheap hex? No, makes no sense. And then I can pump the price, create FOMO, liquidity comes in, and then I unload a little bit. So it's just, there's so many incentives to do the right thing because the system is that well designed. And again, ultimately, they already have longer stakes. So they're here to play for the long term period.
What I was showing there on the screen when I showed you my YouTube videos is the one with Naga Bo, and it's titled 3 Arrows Capital. It was kind of a mashup of a couple different topics, but the idea is there in the description. I've linked to the CEO of 3 Arrows Capital on Twitter, and to more importantly, to the talk that Silver the Antidote was analyzing. I've got Silver's video linked there, as well as the discussion between a couple of these Bitcoin guys who run like a trading channel or something. And they interviewed this guy from 3 Arrows Capital, and he spoke for like an hour and a half on his strategies in crypto. And that's where Silver and Karim and everyone, that's where we're all getting these quotes that he says he does not sell his winners, that he goes long on Bitcoin if he loses any money on a bet, but that all the coins that he invests in are highly researched, and so he's willing to ride them to zero. And he sees DeFi as being something that is going to change the world economic picture going forward.
I tell you guys, I'm not joking.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they watch the stream too.
Thank you, Ryan.
Think about it. It's just common sense. If I'm a VC or an investor, it's the same thing. You are impressed about what Hex has done. Let's be honest. Went up 352x. It's still up hundreds of x. It's very stable. We have an awesome dynamic community. We literally have almost a stream every day. Real talk. We're getting bigger. We're getting more adoption. We're getting more onboarding, seamless integration. We have gangster good devs working around the clock. People going out of their way, figure out L2 solution for, some of the little guy that has worries about trading fees and makes sense. So it's just like, when you look at that as an investor, you're like, dude, a year ago, we didn't have nowhere near that. And look at where we have come and where we're about to go. So again, this is really the key, future valuation. It's amazing.
I think the 3 Arrows, I think it's super interesting because they're not coming out and saying that they own Hex. They're not making it public. So, Silver and John and others have had to sleuth this out. And so what that tells me is that they're not ready to sell. Otherwise, they would be saying, hey, everybody, look at Hex. Look how awesome it is. Look at how awesome the community is. And I think that the OA is stalking them by putting a huge stake right after theirs, right before theirs, and then also keeping the liquidity ultra low almost forces them into a position that they probably already wanted, which is to basically see how much they can scare the market into selling so that they can buy more before they do whatever they're going to do with that stake. And I wouldn't be surprised if they use that stake to try to FUD the market even more. Even when it comes due, I wouldn't be surprised if they did some sneaky things that hedge fund companies do.
Because you can't predict what they're going to do. Again, we can talk about the logic. Like I said, we don't know them personally. We can talk about what should happen, but ultimately, they still have free will.
Don't sell your coins cheap just because they are. This is a buying opportunity when they sell, right?
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of why Hex is so great too, is the speculative stickiness. Like all of us have been anticipating this date for a while now. Everyone's talking about it, and there's anticipation building, and then it becomes more on your mind, and then Hex is on your mind all the time. So then you want to watch every stream. So yeah, I'm sure they are or have tuned in at least maybe to the conference or a few other maybe Richard streams. I don't know. I wouldn't give us too much credit yet as far as like CIOs looking at our videos. But that's a good segue to my next question, because on the last stream, Richard mentioned a 555 encapsulated stakes. And I want one of you guys to explain this to me as if I'm in 5th grade, because I want to know how they're actually going to look, and then how they're going to be traded, and what's going to determine the value of those traded secondary assets.
So I've probably done the most research, because I've read this supposed dev chat between Richard and between everybody else. That was like, I probably spent like over an hour reading it, and I maybe got through a third or a quarter of it. But the basic idea is that people are building this now, and the quote from Richard, right, is that basically he would need to think about it for a week straight in order to understand whether it messes up the game theory or not. But he said it in such a way, I mean, he didn't say whether it would mess up the game theory. He didn't say that part, but I've definitely thought about this for a long time, because I myself created tradable hex stakes that are physical and not provably unique, right, or scarce. So like, let's say that you want to gift staked hex to somebody in your family, right? So you write down the seed words, and then you give them the seed words right after you've already staked in a separate account from your own. And then you can pretty much trust that you're not going to steal it from them, because you're the one that gave it to them, right? I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be provable that you didn't make a copy. So that's why it wouldn't trade on the open market, right? You would never buy from me a tradable hex stake that I've written on paper, or that I've put onto, one of these cold storage coins or whatever it is, because I would have to trade it to you at such a discount, because you wouldn't believe that I didn't keep a copy of it, right? The idea here with these virtually traded hex stakes is, just like you can create a Gnosis safe, and that technology allows you to interact with something that is provably not, that has seed words that are provably not copied by somebody else, that live on the blockchain, and you use that as your basically signature device. Just like that, you could basically load the hex system into something like that, and then make it so you do have tradable stakes. But I think as a community, we want to think really hard and put our best minds into understanding what this means for the game theory of hex, which is based on locking your hex, time locking it, and then not being able to trade the stake. Richard commented that you would have to, like, it would still create buying pressure in order to create these, and it would change some of the incentives. But my impression overall is that this would confuse people, and but then ultimately it would not be a not be a hex killer. It's not gonna.
No,
change.
It's not. No, Maddie,
the amazing thing that we have.
I got this, because I have actually, funny enough, my brain just go too fast. I've been actually thinking about it 2 days straight right after you mentioned that, and I've already figured it out. And this is actually how it goes. Again, this is not financial advice. I don't want to create any FOMO or anything like that. I'm also personally working on it. We're just gonna leave it at that. But because we like to release stuff that are finished. But I can kind of break down in layman's terms how it works, game theory, why it makes sense, and how it can benefit everybody, because that is literally a game changer. And then we're going to call this thing or entity, or again, no name, whatever. Again, 3 Hour Capital can do that, man. Hit me up, because I might need some hex when this thing is ready to go. So the key is to understand one thing and one thing only, okay? We're talking about 5555 stakes, and 5555 stakes only. That is the key. The moment you take away that, this thing becomes irrelevant. You're better off just keeping your wallet, do you stake your app, and then be happy. That's number one. Number two, because I got to set the premise, this is mainly designed to solve a solution for the ideal customer. Again, because remember, this gets into business, which is he wants the highest APY and have the potential flexibility of being able, if there is an emergency, not being nuked, by the regular penalty. So get that kind of fee. He's still going to pay a fee because, but he gets to earn that kind of APY along the way. So he's no longer stressed about, oh, Karim, I want to commit long, but I'm afraid about what if there's an emergency and I don't have the money the same way you have money, this and that. So actually, I thought about it because that can solve some of the problems, some of the mid-tier to lower fish hexagon. They're just, man, I want to go long, Karim, because I talk to those people all the time. And they're telling me, dude, I want to do it, but I just can't do it like you because at this amount, because I'm worried about if there's an emergency. So this is a product that can potentially help them. Okay. So everything is on layer one. The way it will work is that the stakes are real. Because again, we're not one of those weird people that do like weird collateral or fake stuff. No. So an entity, we're not gonna put names or whatever. The entity is fronting the actual money for the stake. So the stake will happen. So let's just say, John, we have 1,000 T-share. Okay. We'll create that 5/5 stake. It's 1,000 T-share provable on the blockchain, which means Pumpamental added to game theory, we need to go to the market and buy the actual hex because without the hex, we can't make the stakes. You follow me? So we create the stake provable on the blockchain using a technology, like Maddie said, too, like things like a Gnosis safe, because again, it's transferable ownership, multi-sig. Let's not get too much into detail, but let's say custody is going to get figured out, lawyer, all that kind of stuff. So that entity has that stake and kind of like grayscale style, what's going to happen is that the T-shares inside that stake are going to be the thing that's going to be tradable, but not tradable in a sense of like a marketplace of, hey, traders up and down, price this and that. No, that's garbage. We don't want to create another like insane margin trading garbage. It's only tradable by the day because what you're trading is you're trading the daily APY. And I'm going to get to that to explain the difference. So in an ideal scenario, we're creating something kind of like epochs. So imagine like a bond market where there's going to be a stake every 6 months, or let's just say once a month. Okay. So that entity create, let's say 1,000 T-share 5555 stake on the first of every month. You follow me? So you got January, February, March, all the way to December. And because it is the 5555 stakes, at that time, it is the highest APY you can get. And just like a bond yield curve, by months 30 or 4 or 5, whatever that new 1,000 T-share 555 creates will be a lower interest rate than the one created in January because share rate went up. Make sense? I didn't lose anybody so far, right? So imagine you get to a scenario where you have 40% APY, 35% API, 32, whatever, because over time it's going to get lower and lower because, again, those new T-share being created, share rate went up, so it gets less and less and less. And the idea is that those T-shares that are created are the one that's being tradable. So let's say customer 1 through 5 shows up and say, hey, I want to participate into the offering of, let's say, April 1st. Okay, 1,000 T-share goes in. And let's say one guy buys 20 T-shares, another guy buys 50 T-shares, another guy buys the whole rest, whatever. Okay, now day goes by. As the day goes by, daily payout are being made. So if the account easily tradable has 1,000 T-shares in there, and let's say it's doing 6 hex per T-share per day, each individual 1 through 6 is getting paid interest, basically mimicking as if they had the created the 555 stakes themselves. Okay, so they can stay there as long as they want. But the trick is that if, let's say, a year from now they want to exit prematurely, they pay a fee, whatever the fee is, and they only get to exit with the amount of interest that they have accrued so far. So the stake is not being emergency end staked because the entity already put up the money, right? So it's already collateralized, already there. They're just raising the money based on the people buying the stakes. So let's say out of 1,000 T-shares, 500 T-shares get purchased by customers that are interested. Those customers have to pay HEX in order to acquire that. So let's say if we had 17,000 HEX T-shares, customer A comes in, he wants, hey, I want to buy 20 T-shares. Okay, that's going to be equal to X amount of HEX. He pays the HEX. We give him the T-share. It mimics what the daily payout is from the global stat directly from the blockchain, provable. And let's say a year from now, he has earned maybe, I don't know, 25%, whatever. And then he wants to exit early. What's going to happen is that we'll pay him the interest. He pays a fee. Again, can't disclose how much the fee is, whatever. He pays a fee. He exit with the profit. And then this is where it gets really cool. Inside that one encapsulated stake, there is now 20 new T-shares available to the marketplace for everybody to buy because this dude just exited. Make sense? He paid the fee, he exited, and now we make available 20 new T-shares. And whoever wants to come in and buys, they can get it. And then you're going to get buyers automatically because HEX is so great that the older stakes has the highest APY. So let's say for a year in the future, one guy exit, 20 T-shares available, and those T-shares are yielding at a rate of 40% because they were created a year ago. And let's say next month we're going to start a new encapsulated stake. More buyers will go buy the old one. Make sense? Because it yield at a higher rate. Just kind of like buying bonds, right? Different tenure for different interest rate. So it creates something sustainable where it's like there's no systemic risk because the money has already been paid to create the encapsulated stakes. HEX is being locked, which is the key. And then the people who are afraid of, hey, I want to go long, but I'm afraid of emergency and things like that, they can utilize that product as an option. Again, they're going to have to pay a fee. It's not going to be free. They're going to have to pay a fee for that, but they get to play that in and out. And because the thing is already over-collateralized, the money has already been fronted, there is never going to be a risk. And Maddie, this is important for you. This is the key for the system. There's never going to be a risk of, oh, we're going to have to emergency and stake or anything like that. So that entity is obviously people that care about HEX long-term, and they want to see HEX being locked. That's the goal. Because a lot of the time, which I hope will happen as a positive mindset behavior, is that the person that was worried about staking long because he was afraid, he might end up participating in this program and might actually never exit for years because the fee that he had probably never came. So he's never worried about it. And then he just collects. But if he needs to exit, he will exit, pay a fee, and that's that. But it's not one of those things where you just trade up and down because I think that's dumb. That's just going to create more like, the trading that get people wrecked. All your trading is basically based on the day, let's say, because HEX pays full days, right? So let's say day 100, the guy wants to exit. The day will end. We'll calculate to that 100 days how many entries he get. Boom. We're gonna pay him. Pays the fee. Exit. And then now there's now 20 T-shares available to whoever wants to buy it. And then that person, whoever buys it, they'll start earning interest from the day they bought it. Make sense?
So where does the payout coming from, though? If someone's going to exit early, the stake is obviously locked. So where's the payment coming from? Is it just a pool from the entity? How are they
that is a great point.
that?
Yeah, that's, smart man. I like that. Oh, pay attention. So the way it will work, again, in my mind, because everything's in my mind, right? Goes too fast, is that in the beginning, because again, we don't want to have to obviously run out of money. So the point is, I said in the beginning, mathematically, I ran some analysis. Only about 50% of the total encapsulated is going to be made tradable because mathematically and statistically speaking, based on the highest APY right now, 5555 stakes, because I've done the math based on today's share rate, because that's the key. Today's share rate, you get about below 40%. So mathematically, in that first year, if we only make 50% of the total money tradable, we're never going to create a situation where the other 50% that's being traded, when people get interest, it's never going to get to a point where we're going to not have enough hex to pay the person. So first of all, we're only paying hex to keep the accounting simple. So that way it's also legit and everything. And then remember, we have to raise money in order to get people getting. So let's say 1,000 T-share, we already put up the money, so it's already safe. And then we say, hey, 500 T-shares are available for whoever wants to buy. And then once it's full, that's it. We don't take more than that. And then we also have another 50% of that stake separate, just sitting in the pool, ready for payouts, right? If the person wants to exit. And also remember, they got to pay a fee, because remember, it's a service, right? And the fee is going to be a percentage paid in hex. And that fee is only there just to keep the pool afloat. So it's going to get to a point where ideally in my math, right from the beginning, the encapsulated stake is basically over collateralized by 100%. So that even in a year, statistically probability wise, especially for those people that like short stakes on rotation, that do like, I mean, shit, we got people doing 7 days, you know what I mean? It's insane. 7 days, 2 weeks. But on average, data shows that there's a lot of people doing 30-day stakes on rotation. So there's a high probability that within that 12 months, those people who love that rotation will continue to do the rotation, which means if it's over collateralized by 100%, plus we account for the rotation to happen, people going in and out, paying that fee, the fee goes into the bucket to stay, to make sure we can still pay people. So there's never going to be that issue. And this is the kicker. When you re-enter the pool, let's say you re-enter at the new share rate. This is where it gets very cool. So let's say guy holds a 20 T-share for a year, okay? And then he exit 50 T-share. There's 50 T-shares available to the market for people to re-enter. When they re-enter, remember, they're buying T-shares. You need hex for that. So you have to go to the market to buy the hex, price goes up. And if you can't buy the hex, then you can't get the T-share, because you need the hex to then come and buy the T-share. Make sense? And you will gladly do that because the system is so great that you will not want to be in the new encapsulated 555 stakes. You will want to go to the old one, because the old one pays a higher interest rate because it was open earlier. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it creates a mechanism where, yes, more encapsulated stakes are creating over time, but just like a bond yield, people want the one that pays the most, which happens to be also the older stakes. So it creates,
that'll be more expensive. Yeah,
exactly. Which then creates that sustainability, which is good because it creates funding. It over collateralizes the pool, and guess what? With some of that new funding, we can create the next encapsulated stakes. The goal is to get the hex staked, and this is just an additional product on top of, hey, get your staker app. Everything's cool. Lock it in. You don't need to use this product. Get your own private wallet. But if you want to use that for the rotation and get a 5555 interest rate type, you get to use that. So it's beneficial for the people who are scared and they have to pay bills every 30 days. They can use that product. It's beneficial for the long-term staker because more coins are being staked because we don't take USD. You got to go buy the hex to get this product. Again, 3 Arrow Capital, if you're listening, telegram me. I got it all mapped up in my head. So, but it's just, this is how everything will create the breakdown, and long-term for Hex2, it's valuable because it creates that more support. If this thing goes like this in my head, if you thought the OA was a lover of Hex, dude, have
you read about this? Because what you're describing has already been written about, and that's what I find is that people who think about these things as deeply as you do, Karim, arrive at the same conclusions around the same time, and so we see that happening all the time. Have you? I mean, I'm not gonna name drop like who's working on this because I'm not.
Let's just say some people have definitely reached out. Again, my brain just works fast. But the thing is, just like we like in Hex, we just gotta make sure people understand that we like to release stuff that are finished and audited and stuff like that, so that way it doesn't create. But bottom line is this: I've been saying this since day one. T-share, 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 T-share. It will come. So just get yourself in position, because think about it like this too. Why would 3 Arrow Capital get all this hex if they're not going to try to potentially turn into a business if the system is so great, which it is, and it's sustainable? So to me, it's just common sense. And I really want to mention that is because I want to warn everybody again.
So there's a lot of controversy about what you've already said, right? And so I don't want to down it and I don't want to promote it, but I want to promote like the discussion of being transparent so that all the minds in Hex can be put together in order to like model what this will actually do, right? Because what are the consequences? For example, people are saying in the comments, like, what are the consequences to the penalties that people would have to pay?
Well, here's the thing.
So that wouldn't go to the staker class anymore because there wouldn't be penalties for ending early. And
no, but here's the thing. That's short-term thinking, Matty, because again, they're missing the network effect. As the Hex gets staked, as this product becomes more valuable, what I want people to remember is that if this works out, you're going to replace people like the BlockFi and the whatever will become the hottest, coolest thing in the block. More Hex or stake, more Hex or lock, price goes up. You won't be worried about your emergency penalty when the price shoot up 100x. And let's be real, the penalties are not what they used to be because people are getting disciplined. They're learning about Hex and they're not really emergency and stake. And remember, it's a separate product. That doesn't mean you can't do the other product, which is getting your own wallet, getting your staker app ready to go do your own stake. You can maybe never use that because it's based on popular demand. If customer wants to buy it, the stake will be encapsulated. If nobody wants to buy it, then they won't. Because remember, the biggest risk is not them. The biggest risk is the entity. The biggest risk is the true hexagon because they're fronting the money, not you. You can go in now all you want. Price can pump 10x, and then you say, hey, you know what? I want to exit now, pay the fee, and dump the price, or whatever. So we need to really understand. That's why, again, I want to wait until more stuff comes out, but I just wanted to give John a high-level overview. Like I said, there's many stuff needs to be worked out, custody, this, that, but in the ideal scenario, right? Airplane mode, overview. This is how it will work. And the key is we're talking about real stake, layer 1 on the blockchain, provable. And the goal for that entity is actually to build wealth. Because if everything works well, the way I would like to see it is ideally, I'm just locking up Hex. T-shares are being locked for 555. That's the goal. What did I say? First thing I said, nothing encapsulated less than 5555. That is the goal.
Yeah, I think so I think we want to be careful that we don't rebuild the old fiat system. And so if this type of thing allows you to hold your own keys, right, that's different than any other system, right? So as it's, I've read on this and I think it's super interesting and I think it's something that the community will be analyzing and giving their feedback on.
I just had a couple quick questions. Is there any way to do it in a DeFi decentralized way, or does it just have to be a centralized entity?
Yeah. With my example of the Gnosis
you
can do it yourself.
This is a great point because again, this is the $1 million question. It's not just for decentralization. People need to understand there's also legal risks too. Custody. When you hold, it's not just hey, come in and no. Those people are more at risk than you. My point is, it's being it's being trying to be solved because we want to stay decentralized. That's why I said those stakes are real and they are. This is the beauty about Gnosis Safe because at least it provides the opportunity. That's why you see me promote a lot of staker app because I love what they're doing and I know what Gnosis can do. There's a lot of features there that can make it decentralized. And
they're real, but they're not locked, right? They're not time locked. But they are on layer 1. On layer 2, they're not, right? So that's
but that's what you don't understand, Matty. It just mimics layer 1. Again, the reason why they call it end stake, encapsulated, it, like Richard said, when you're not creating a fake stake, it's a real stake. It mimics the stake that's doing.
He said he would have to think about it for a week straight in order to say whether it would mess up the game theory or not, right? And I think that's what we should do. And the bottom line is that if the OA doesn't like it, it will fork those stakes out of the system. So that's why I'm confident that Hex will never be killed. And even if people build things like Trayvon James built games on Hex that were bad, things can be forked out, right? If they don't work. And if they work, then it's better for Hex, right?
Yeah. But again, I
Why
want
would
to get the main point.
real quick another question?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the entity just accept HEX and then only pay out cash fiat?
What would the what? Sorry.
Why wouldn't the entity just only receive HEX for payment, and then that's locking up supply cash similar to an OA, and then when people cash out their profits, they can pay out fiat.
No, you see, that's the risk. That's what will create actually potential systemic risk. You got to keep it HEX. Why? Because HEX is the most important thing. I mean, after a T-share, because when you keep
then
it,
you're going to just introduce sell pressure from these stakes that shouldn't be sell pressure.
No, because you got people thinking too short term. You got people that look at long term. Don't worry about the in and out. Worry about the long term. The entity goal should be, again, my vision, I don't know about other people, is to lock up HEX for as long as possible. Net long. Warren Buffett. Anybody, please drill that into your brain. All the fees and this and that, the whole goal is just to create more encapsulated stake. Because remember, when I say it starts and only 50% are tradable, that means that the entity is buying half of the encapsulated stake, which means they have more at risk than anybody, period, full stop. They're just providing
But what about the buying pressure is what he's saying?
Yes, it will create more buying pressure. The moment you take USD, that's when you become like those other scumbag margin trader, fake, no Bitcoin, like nah, because then they can circumvent. If you only take HEX, then you can say, hey, you want this cool product? You want to get the high APY and potentially go in and out? Well, go buy your own HEX, then bring it to the platform, and then you'll be participating in that. And everything paid in HEX also is easy for accountability, accounting, stuff like that, because it's payout per T-share. It literally, Maddie, mimic what the real stake, which is really created, is doing on the blockchain. So if you're getting 6 HEX per T-share per day until interest rate change, then whoever, let's say the guy has 10 T-shares in that system, he will get 60 HEX. Everything's in HEX. The most prolific is HEX. They buy HEX. You want to use the platform, you buy HEX. The moment you introduce USD, that's when it becomes a trouble. The fee is paid in HEX. Everything is HEX. It's like go.hex.com, imagine like that, everything HEX. So that way, it's sustainable. You want the flexibility, you get the flexibility, you pay the fee in HEX. We use the fee to create the next encapsulated stake. And guess what? At a higher level, it creates FOMO in a good way for price per T-shares. Because what's going to happen is every month, there's going to be an encapsulated HEX stake that's going to come up. So you better lock up your HEX before we change the thing again. Mm-hmm. Because that's
there's going to be like an announcement every month, like this new encapsulated stake is launching. Get yours while you can.
Exactly.
Okay, and it would keep the price of T-shares lower until the first round comes
it
out.
does another pressure that's better than that.
Because if all the new shares in this, or if all the HEX being staked going forward is all the maximum duration, then the people who would be ending early and ratcheting up the share rate, they would not be doing that, right?
Yes, but you're missing a bigger point. Again, quick math. When that happened, remember, those are 555 stakes, 3x plus. The pool is going to grow so fast that now interest rate is going to start trending down because we're doing 555 stakes. So total T-share goes up at a rapid pace. And that's going to create FOMO. Be like, hey, you better stake that shit now because you're about to get less interest rate because we're pushing the price up. So it creates that positive buying pressure and staking pressure, which create more buying and staking pressure because you know that as more 555 stakes are coming in, unless OA unstake more, which you could do, obviously, as a regulator. But the point of the matter is those massive stakes add T-shares, which basically saying you're getting less interest rate unless you stake because you won't be part of the people that are getting the reward. So we're just fast forwarding what would have already happened by year 5, 6, or 7, which is if you're now a person staking today, you're going to regret that 5 years from now when maybe the best 555 stakes that you can do only give you 20% because the price is up 1,000x. And then now the mass is so big that the interest rate will have to go down. So this is really the positive game theory that it creates, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we can, all of us can discuss like what will it do? And some things are provable. Like, for example, like, if all of the liquid HEX right now staked the maximum amount, that would only create, leaving the OA out, which is 85% of the coins, that is not going to drop the interest rate as much as the OA is controlling now the interest
Absolutely,
rate.
absolutely. Remember what I said?
Yeah.
I said OA is a regulated in terms of it already happened. That's why they unstake to maintain APY. But the point that I'm trying to say here is that the interest rate naturally will start to trend down simply because more HEX are being staked and turned into shares, which is a good thing at a system level when the price goes up. Because remember, it's just a balancing act. You can have 80% APY and a lower price, or you can have 20% APY and the price is up.
Or is it less HEX is being because the cost of a T-share is lower? If you do a maximum, if you do a Quattro Cinco, then you're paying 3 times less HEX to make that T-share, right?
Yes, in the 555. But what it does is that as the buying is happening and the buying and the locking, which is what Richard talks about all the time, you want price to go up. We need people not to sell. That's the best incentive because the true Hexicans and the OGs, they already know that. They're gonna be doing. They already did their lot. Again, I talk to those people every day. I'm talking about the middle of the pack, the person that's actually doing the sell pressure right now. I want to use word like P word or whatever, but those are the people that this product, remember, will help solve. So they stop dumping the price for no reason, so we can go higher faster. That is the point. Because people that already understand it, they're not going to use that product. Why would they pay the fee to get that product if they can just get in their own app to the staker app? Remember, it's a special clientele of people that we're looking for, the people who are actually right now selling the price. Because that entity to even make this work and over collateralize those encapsulated stakes, guess what? They need a lot of HEX for that, which means price will pump. So people need to have, again, big picture. Don't look at just like 3-6 months. Look at what the mechanism does. And the key, like I answered John, the key here is no fiat, HEX only. Okay. You want to participate in this? HEX, go buy your HEX, then show up.
So, I guess my final point is that I believe just based on game theory alone, that the market will be efficient in pricing these types of things.
Yes.
And that there will be enough arbitrage or just kind of natural information flow to allow people to make sure that there aren't any like outsized gains in one system versus another.
Yep.
For example, I will be launching a layer 2 solution to HEX that allows you to stake for 60 years at a time using Gnosis safe technology that it keeps the private keys, so it automatically restakes at the end of your 15 years so that you can keep yourself honest for longer.
Look at you.
Things balance out, right?
There you go. Because again, the key of this system is this key point that I want to point out. It's literally taking all the data from layer 1. When the encapsulated state is created, it's on layer 1. It's a real state. It's just like a UI game. In other words, just to show you what the blockchain already show you. The same way you use an app, it just shows you what's already there. We're not creating something separate. It matches what's already on the blockchain. The share rate is the share rate directly from go.hex.com. The data is there. So when you go in and out of those, well, guess what? You got out, you want to go back in, well, you pay the new share rate, which went up. So that way, it just creates just a mechanism where what HEX is going to do naturally gets done a little bit faster, and we get to help a little bit the little guy that wants the higher interest rate, but he's just afraid because he's not like some of us that can put a lot of money because they don't really need it right now for 15 years. That is where my heart is. And again, those people who have more at risk because they have to over collateralize the whole thing, which is in HEX. So, which is the thing they want to have. So why would they dump the price? That makes no sense. That's why we only take HEX. So people get it.
Yeah, I've loved discussing this topic, and I think it's one we'll return to. And I think it's exciting because it's not the same thing that we always do, where we're like, yeah, we all agree the price of HEX is going to go up. Yeah, we all agree the price of the T-shares is going to go up. Yeah, we're all buying right now as Karim's talking because he's getting us so pumped up, you know. And so I just love when we're able to discuss something and take different points and really steel man each other's arguments.
And honestly, that to me is the key, because at the end of the day, right, real talk, if everybody was doing everything that I said, will probably even be higher. But I do understand that some people, like I said, what does it solve? It's the true Mexican that really believe, but he's just afraid because maybe he got bills to pay. Maybe he got family. Guys, I'm single, no kids. I get it. Like, even people that have money, they have obligations. So this, to me, I thought about it hard. Yes, you take 2 days, but like when I think on something, I don't let go. I couldn't even go to work. I was just thinking about how would this work, and then how to make sure.
Yeah.
Because nobody cares more.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the old way, but I'm the second person that cares the most. Maddie, what's my nickname? What's my website? What does it say?
You are the face of the staker class.
Exactly.
Stakerclass.com. The face of the sharks and the staker class community.
What's my Telegram says?
It is
my handle.
It is. Oh,
Hex
I always forget
account.
it. You need to have the same
Hex.
brand for everything.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I'll tell you. Hex Dream Account. Literally,
Hex Dream Account
for a reason. Right?
It's linked in the show below.
I don't have my Dream Account doesn't have a stake less than 10 years. Let me remind people if they forgot. This is the key because
Beautiful.
I know what this can do, and I know what because I have such a foresight. What upsets me potentially is we're gonna have some early Hexagon that could have been great. Again, it might sound opium for some people, but if we're not careful, we're gonna have some great Hexagon that could have been multi-millionaires, but due to circumstances, fear, and FUD, they didn't stake long and strong because they were fearful of an event that may or may not happen. And then when the price really leaves them behind, they really want to do it, they get less than what they could have had. This is what this product could solve. Again, it's one of the products. The standard is a standard. Get your own wallet, do your own stake long. You can literally just do, again, 90% a regular staking ladder, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then the 10%, you can be like, hey, I want some money on rotation. Chances are you're one of those that was already doing that, having a rolling 30-day stake, but you're only getting, like right now, what's the math? You're getting like 13% or 15%. Garbage compared to a potential encapsulated stake that's just there that gives you 35%. Yes, you pay a fee, you're getting a higher interest rate on your rotation stake than if you were to do it on your own. Everybody wins. You get to pay your bills and not be scared. The entity, which I hopefully can get involved with, we just want to get the hex locked. That's it. And then we're long-term thinkers. We want the marshmallow last. We just keep
My second final comment on this topic is that one of the reasons I love the blockchain and crypto, what crypto really is, right, is that it's transparent. And so whoever does all the work, right, to create these encapsulated stakes, they will publish their code. It will be audited, and then somebody will copy the code and take away the fees so that the people who created it will not get any financial benefit from it. And it'll be out there for everybody in the wild. So.
I love it. This is why, what did I say? I say I don't want to talk fee because I know some people, leechers out there looking, oh, yeah, let me copy this and that. But that's why I don't talk about that. But the funny thing is this, right? At the end of the day, it's a form of adoption. Again, guys, abundance. Again, let me go back to the promotion, all this other stuff. People are becoming wealthy, becoming more educated. Yes, I tricked you and I bought you a free hoodie. And I spent $150 between, the hoodie and the wallet and whatever. But guess what? Now you feel better about yourself. You realize that, oh, wow, this community is great. Now you want to tell more people about it. Boom, network effect. That's what this is about. That's what abundance is. I got one guy, he refers 6 people, right? Anywhere between 10,000 to 20,000. I'm working with another guy right now. I'm not going to say the name, multiple 6 figures about to come. I just say, hey, bring it in. I'll pay for the wallet. Let's go. Keep it going. Because again, you never know who you're gonna meet. If people just keep looking at all they do, you can stop being so fucking short term. Look the bigger picture. Of course, like Maddie says, it's going to be audited. It's gonna be. We were already imagining when we heard about the quick swap, whatever. The chat was on fire. Even the pro chat, because it's like, hey, we had to make sure we gotta be skeptical first to make sure it checks out, and then we'll, community take care of their own. Make no mistake. This is just, we're talking about it for now. When it comes out, like Maddie said, it will be audited, whatever, finished product only. But the value will be, it will take care of those people that are afraid to commit long to get the high APY due to their own circumstances. People need to remember this is what this is about. Okay, it's not about all the money, dude. I make my own stake. Okay, I make over $500 a day right now. I do not need to go do extra work to get that. That's how beautiful Hex is. I can literally just be selfish, and that's that, and that's in the story. But that's just not who I am. So I'm trying to find a way when I hear something that could be a good idea before I dismiss it. I'm actually doing my own game theory in my head. How can I game this? How can I avoid? And one of the key is what John perfectly asked. We don't take fiat. That's the whole point.
Well,
So
take your time getting all these friends in who have extra zeros behind their investment, because, you know, some of us are still buying out here. So
Yeah,
let's
let us
move
know.
on to the next topic, because I know we're all still getting extremely pumped up for
John,
Richard to go live in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I want to hear from Whales to see, because I know you've prepared some snoring sounds that you want everybody to hear.
Oh, you know it.
But even better are some of your charts.
Sure thing. We can. My screen's available to share if you want.
Sure. Yes. Thank you.
My favorite part right there. My favorite part.
All right, let's get to it. Disclaimer: this information displayed in this broadcast is known to cause excess amounts of anxiety and FOMO. WhalesOnly and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Please proceed with caution.
I love that.
Thank you very much.
Amazing presentation.
Thank you. This is the first 442-day chart of Hex versus Ethereum, and just to provide you guys with a little update, it turned out that I was tracking the last 440 whatever days and not the first 442 days. So Hex is actually looking even better than it was before. So, you know, once again, never losing, always winning. There is Hex. So if you look at the orange line, that's the Ethereum, where it's showing 1,000% return, versus Hex, which is the the red line with the white hue, which is 3,962%. And then the T-share index is at 6,619% with a pink line with an orange hue. And then we have Bitcoin still flat lined at 0, basically. And we'll move on to chart 2, which is Hex post big payday. We're currently at 165%, which is the magenta line with the yellow hue, and then the first halving at 373%, which is the orange line with the blue hue, and then the third halving at 134%, which is the green line with the white hue, and then the second halving, which is a blue line or sky blue line with the orange hue at 96%. Nice. And the thing I just want to kind of show here is how we're kind of hovering in between the first and third Bitcoin halving. And the reason I kind of want to highlight that is because I always like to say, you know, Hex kind of got it all out in one lump. That's what the adoption amplifier in the first year was all about. Just getting that whole supply out into the system. And the thing about it is that what we're seeing right now is just that still, right? Because the supply that we're seeing coming on into the market, shout out to Reggie Bone, is just people selling because they're not aware of how the system functions and how they can actually benefit from the system. So unfortunately, to their dismay, really, they're selling their Hex and they're losing T-shares, and you know they're not earning money every day, not understanding what it is that they're actually doing. Because this is why I highlight collateralization of assets. Because as of now, right, as we know, that's going to be a thing that's possible, regardless of what anybody says, right? Like that's just going to be something that's because cryptos are going to be the next asset class, period. That's just what it's going to be. I mean, there's just no debating that, right? That's just what it's going to be. All of these institutions are understanding that holding fiat is a foolish move. So, you know, it just leaves the reason, again, using logic, once again, as Karim likes to say, you know, there's only one place to go, capital flow, so where the highest return is. And that's very straightforward in this case. So what we're seeing right now is just people leaving the market giving it to us. I just did a 4x5 stake yesterday. So
Nice.
I'm not playing any games, right? Like, I'm really serious with the information I'm sharing because I get it, right? Like, I did the math. I'm doing the math all the time. I don't do anything else. So what's happening right now is that once this Hex index starts going vertical, it's not going to make any sense because, again, this is just setting up for the real move higher, right? Because it's, again, an object in motion stays in motion. Very simple physics. And as we can see, as soon as the big payday was over, we shot up right out of the gate. And we're just dealing with the effects of oversupply right now. And once that supply gets gobbled up, because, hey, look, I'm telling you guys right now, I don't really look at the charts, but this is a point in time where I keep the charts open all day because I want somebody to just make a mistake. Because I'm literally just right here waiting to buy it up. Seriously. And that's how I trade. I don't just DCA in. I wait for my opportunity. So I'm that kind of person. I'm just sitting here watching the chart because we're at that level. So you guys have to understand, there are people out there that are just like me, and there are people out there that are like other people that are just DCAing in, that they don't care, right? So that's important to understand because eventually we're not going to have this opportunity to take our time, DCA in, wait for the dip, and all of these
actually things. Technically don't even have that time.
And you don't, right. But because of the T-shares, right? But you have to remember, that's still a function of your total cost, right? At the price at which you get that hex. So it is kind of important. We got to look at the math.
No, it is. But no, when you have massive stakes and staking right around the corner.
No. Right. I'm not saying to sleep on it because we all know we have a next day. So don't get me twisted. But what I'm saying is until that point in time, we know we have time to watch the market. And that's the thing. You have to be an astute investor, right? Because, again, you want to be able to maximize your dollar return. Because that's what it's all about. Right now, we're earning in trash. We want to make sure we can convert that trash into gold and optimize that return. That's all I'm trying to preach here, right?
I like how you're putting this.
Right. I mean, it's about optimization of returns. This is
trash.
That's why that PE ratio chart.
I mean,
it literally shows you, visualize.
It's phenomenal. All right, let's keep going because we could just keep talking. All right, here we have the T-share to Ethereum and the T-share to Bitcoin charts, and as you guys can see, the Ethereum line is the pink line with the blue hue, and the Bitcoin chart is the orange line with the orange hue, and that is the Bitcoin line is at 29 basis points or 0.29% versus the T-share to ETH value, which is at 9.21%. And basically we're just going to keep chugging along here until, Hex just takes a shot higher and along with the T-shares. I mean, and it's coming. So, we're just plugging along here. We're going to keep going. And here are the Hex payout metrics. Daily payout was 63, almost $1.5 million. Payout per T-share was 5.827. Total T-shares are at 10.82 trillion million. Whatever, right? Crazy numbers. Here we have the payout index return metrics and the payout. Beautiful. Yeah, this is my favorite. This is my favorite slide. Seriously, man, this is really my favorite one because it just shows the power, right? I mean, ever since big payday, it's literally been 45 degrees. Don't even play with me. It's crazy. I mean, look at this. I mean, by tomorrow or the day after, we're already at 143,000%. Since inception, right? Payout per T-share. That's insane. This is the system paying the stakers real time in your face, right? This is incredibly phenomenal information. If an institution happens to come and look at this video and they look at this slide, they're going to be like, well, what are we waiting for?
Yeah. And also real quick, and this is shout out to Wells.
I'm taking the video down.
John. Well, this is the part where you get to even come in to get beautiful data because in the future, right, hypothetically, right, with the encapsulated T-share stuff, you literally just look at that chart from Wells. You just pick the date when you hop in, and then the day when you hop out, and then this will just
slice and dice
how much you earn during that time frame. And again, directly coming from the blockchain. because the system is already perfectly built. So this is why it's awesome. And it's chugging along like that because the slope, the 45 degree, is created by the 5.8, 5.7 payout per T-share that we have, which is constant. So people say sometimes they message me, oh, it's not going up. No, you don't understand. This is daily. This is compounding. It's the object is already in motion. It's like saying we went from 0 to like 100 miles an hour, and because we're 100 miles an hour for like a couple of weeks, people are saying we're not moving. Like, no, we're moving at 100 miles an hour. We're in the motion. We might start going to 110 and 120, which might be dangerous. But
never gonna stop, baby.
We're in that motion. So right now we're on cruise control. Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
A purple line is showing you we're on cruise control.
It's crazy.
So the purple line dictate the arcing. The higher the purple line, the higher we will arc. And this is how we do the S curve. I talked about it previous stream. It goes like this, then the arc, then it's gonna do 90 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, it doesn't need to make sense in the regular world term. Just know that it makes sense in math terms. So if you see insane payout, don't be crazy. Just understand it's math. Just math. If it arcs, it's gonna do it. This is our 45-degree angle. When it goes to 90 to do the S curve, we might end up doubling this APY and then be at 80+%. I have seen some screenshot of early Mexican right now stakes earning 80%. I have seen it. So it's possible, and it will do it. And then eventually, once we reach a bigger critical mass and the system has to lower interest rate because we're worth hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, then yeah, APY might start to chill a little bit. But again, freaking bond market is giving you 0 or near 0, right? I mean, yes, they had the little spooking over the last 2 days, but it's not really not a dead cat and then right.
That's nothing.
Because they can't sustain high interest rates.
John, what's your reaction to this chart?
Well, if you've been, in Hex since the beginning, and you just look at your interest accrued on your stakes, on your longer 10+ stakes, you already see the value of the T-shares because you're seeing your daily payout. If any of you guys have a 36.41 stake or 5555 stake, it's pretty apparent how much interest you've already accrued. Usually, it's already over your principal in less, in a year or so. Mm-hmm. So for all those 10-year stakes before big payday, it's practically, you got at least 100% bonus on big payday. And then in addition to that, your interest is maybe 60, 70% plus that. So you might be looking at a, 180% return already on investment from something that you did a while ago. And then back then, obviously, it was a lot cheaper. So you not only got a great deal on the share price, but you got a great deal on the coins themselves. And then you're just getting that interest. And then the value of the coins goes up over time. Your interest keeps growing. Then it's just like has the multiplication effect that we all love about Hex is the multiplicative gains that can happen just by waiting passively. So yeah, I mean, that's what I think of it. And we can keep the APY high for long periods of time. If the OA continues to just sit liquid, we can have these high double-digit APY for a long, long time. Absolutely. Just enriching all the stakers and still enriching the new guys enough that it's worth it to them and feel that they don't miss the boat.
Exactly. Sure. And funny joke, I want to make that clear. It will be that long, no matter what. Let me make something very clear. Encapsulated stakes on that, it will be. Because again, OA are most of the supply, and OA is smart about one thing. Again, common sense. I don't need to have a conversation with them to understand common sense. You want to be the highest APY around, period. That's a fundamental. That's an attractiveness to Hex. This is the reason why in the beginning, to avoid crazy people coming in and doing crazy stuff, a lot of it was stake, create that support. And then as adoption comes in, slowly end stake, which is smart. So that way, when we get the adoption, which we are doing by onboarding more people, more get stake, and then the more away removed, so that way the API stays steady. Why do you think we'll also be able to stay at where we are now in terms of 11 million T-shares and not more than that? We gotta be honest. That's thanks to OA. If OA just
thank you, OA.
Yeah, think about it. One funny thing, if OA just took 10% and just throw it 555, your APY would just go down by 5%, just like that. So it's just understand that what we're doing, we're just creating price support, and that's it. Because when OA sit liquid, they most likely won't sell. And we're just creating that floor. Because I want to create a new epoch. I want people to understand something. Which was
brother, hold on. Let's get through these charts because we only got 25 minutes. Not trying to be rude, but let's get through it because we got limited time. All right, so daily payout index is at 11 1,400% since inception. Again, this is the system paying out to everybody that's holding a piece of the pie, right? So if you have any quantity of shares, which run up into the trillions and millions, that's what T-shares are, you're getting a piece of this payout. And the system is doing this every day, right? So this is what's important to understand. The T-share index over time will decrease, but right now it's going to show, right, pretty much a flat line, even though we do have a somewhat of a decrease. And I'll go into the zoomed in chart, courtesy of my man Karim here, because I didn't have this at first. And as we can see, once we zoom in, the total T-shares are dropping a little bit, not too much, but a little bit at 10.82 million. And then the payout per T-share is 5.827. We already went over that. And this is the Omega chart, as I like to call it, because it kind of has all the good stuff in one chart.
Ooh.
And my favorite line is just this payout per T-share index, and it just shows how the system kind of just went 500 times just on interest, man. Like, who cares about the 352 times?
Wow.
This is just 500% on interest alone. This is 50 times on interest alone.
Insane.
Not 500.
Add everything combined, we already did 10,000x.
I mean, this is crazy. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Really?
it's all. I mean,
if you force all the force multipliers,
yeah, big payday.
This is how
Plus,
great this product is.
yeah. Because
What is
you
the
gotta
orange
remember,
line?
the orange line is just the payout per T-share sum, and that is just basically all of the hex that each T-share has received since inception.
Yeah.
So if you've been holding a T-share from day one, you've received 1,575 hex
Per T-shirt.
per T-share.
Per T-shirt.
Savage. Love it.
How about that?
Yeah.
Saw those eyes light
Nice.
up. I love it. That's what it's about, baby. Yeah. That's why I love this, man. It's just a great feeling to see people look at these charts and be like, damn, I own that. That's right. You do, sir. Let's keep it moving, because it's a beautiful day in X land
This
every
is the
day.
compounding effect right there.
That's it. It's a beautiful day every day, man. I mean, yes, let's just do that. All right. So this is the T-share rate versus the APY. And this is also a classic chart, because this chart is kind of what highlights a lot of what Karim says, man, because it's an all-in-one, right? It shows us how the APY is going to elevate with the T-share rate. That's clearly what it's showing here, because it snapped down with the OA staking 98% of it, or 90, or whatever the number was before big payday. And then as soon as it let it go, we ratcheted it right back up again. And the T-share went right with it. So that's just a function of the system and how it works. And this is what that chart highlights. What's that?
Yeah, because again, it's a fraction, so it's a division, and because the bottom number is the total T-share, so as the price of the T-share constantly goes up, it becomes naturally harder for total T-share to go up or to stay the same. People don't understand. You're just staying the same is very hard, because every T-share that exits the system, you need a new T-share plus 70%, because share rate went up. And then a year from now, or whoever, when we get to 20,000 hex per T-shirt, you need double the T-shirt to replace the old T-shirt. So it's amazing to see that it's sustainable like that, because at any time you can just.
But that's the thing, right? That's why the OA is there. The OA is there to provide the support, right? And the unique thing about this situation here is that it literally removes the essence of what you would typically see in a centralized system. Right, because when you look at the fiat system, right, we have the central bank, and the central bank for any currency typically is the one that provides the support for the currency or demolishes the currency. That's pretty much how it works. And the thing about it is, in crypto, that doesn't really work out that way unless it's really a scam, right? So, clearly this isn't a scam, so whatever. But
we're telling you not to buy Hex so we can buy it first.
Yeah,
right.
Don't.
So that's not like most scams are like, yeah, come on, buy it. We'll jump on your heads right now, right now.
Joke. This is serious. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. This is a serious matter.
Okay, here's my joke. We don't need Uncle Jerome Powell, right? And that's what I say.
Yeah.
On kind of like auto-regulate, self-regulated system. This is why I say the OA is kind of like, with the Federal Reserve members, because we own states in the thing. and then the actual interest rate regulated is like, like Jerome Powell will come in and say, hey, we're going to lower interest rate. The system is so smart, it just does it auto balance.
Yeah, that's a benefit. That's definitely an added benefit to the system. We don't got to worry about that for sure.
Awesome.
With no like central entity, call this guy, be his friend, and
none of that.
How many stakes are coming in, how many T-shares are there, and then 3.69 just do his job. This is so good because it's automatic.
It is. And look, this chart here is the what I like to call the Hex stock to flow tracker. I didn't update it, but as you guys can see, the T-share rate is slightly higher. I took today's price and today's most recent T-share dollar value, and I got that current T-share rate. So if you like, you can elevate the chart a little bit higher. As you guys can see, it's kind of a fair value right now as far as this looks. But when we go to the next chart, it's not so much the same view. And I think that this chart is going to be the chart that actually dictates how Hex actually moves in terms of where its true valuation is. Because again, this is about stock to flow and the network effect. It's not so much about anything else. That's going to really be the most prevalent effect that is going to control the price of Hex. The T-shares and the staking and all the rest of that is just going to be ancillary functions within the system, because again, all of those game theories, right? All of those properties of the game theory of the system are what elevates the network effect, because the network effect is there to highlight all of those attributes, right? And that's, I think that's like the most important thing to understand, is that because the network effect only works if there is user growth, right? So if people don't come into the system, then we won't see that network effect occur. So that's why I kind of like to lean on this chart. Go ahead.
Whales. So how are you measuring the network effect? Like, what are your variables that you're looking at?
So if you look at the left-hand column, right? If you look at the y-axis for the left-hand side, you're going to see that this is basically log base 2. We got the value 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. It's in the system, John. You just didn't see it because you didn't look at the return streams, but I happened to discover it once randomly. And this is what prompted me to make this stream, and this is what helped me connect all of the dots and be like, oh, I forgot, because I knew this from day one when Bitcoin came out, but I just never took Bitcoin seriously because I didn't expect government to let it go this far. I really didn't. But here we are.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's what it does like that. If you look at the function of a log base 2, you can see, and then the inverse correlation of that, it's literally how we see even the stakes expiring.
Yes.
It goes from, it's almost like psychology in a way. Maddie, that's when you jump in, because you see the people want their money. No, give it to me. And then over time, less and less, because less and less, naturally, people are more long-term thinker that can really get the long-term value. So it's almost kind of like law of nature to some degree.
It really is.
Create that movement, which would then do the log base 2 function right there. So
it really is. And that's the whole thing, right? When you look at these return streams, even when you look at the first chart, right? And we'll go back to it at the end, but even when you look at the first chart, and we'll keep going, you'll see the return streams, they pause right at log base 2 values. And that's how you know the network effect is prevalent, because that's n squared. That's proportionality.
That's awesome. And I just wanted to announce this just in. We've the Hex Quant gang has now recorded more hours than the Hex conference was. And you can see every hour and every episode in the description below. I've got a 10-minute playlist that is for beginners, and that teaches you what Hex is. Then there's the intermediate stream or playlist that has about 26 hours of the Hex conference in it. And then the advanced stream is this one. So
nice. Well done, Maddie. Good job, man.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I'm honored to be a part of it, really.
Thank you.
Me too.
So
I did have a question about
Sure, go ahead.
The expiring stakes. So from a math and quant perspective, is there alpha in placing your stakes where there are few stakes? And if so, how do you measure that alpha from a mathematical standpoint? Is there anything, or is it just based on common sense, there's less people unstaking that day. Therefore, there could be less sell pressure. Or is it more complicated than that?
Look at it this way. There is a complicated version and there's a simple version. When the math becomes too complicated, I just rely on logic. My logic is this. The longer you go towards that curve, the more alpha you will get because you're backed up and protected by share rate constantly going up. By doing that, creating that floor, which is that stock to flow model, because as the price gradually goes up and share rate gradually goes up, there's going to be less and less dumpers because it costs more money. You might get away with it a little bit. The same way people used to get away with dumping a lot, buying back, doing launch because there was a billion hex every day. Now, not so much. You make a wrong move, you're out of your position. You're done.
Yes.
So, and it's going to get even more difficult like that. So my logic, alpha, is that the longer you are on that curve, the more alpha you will get simply because you're protected by share rate. Because you can try to do an assessment, oh, he's ending on that day and I do this day, and then boom, the guy emergency end stake just before you, and then dump. Now what? So it's like it's an indicator, but you can't rely on 100% because at any time they can basically emergency end stake. But you can rely on share rate because it never goes backwards. That's my humble opinion in terms of where the alpha will be and how to calculate that alpha, because you're not going to have an exact numbers because, again, all the math model looks good until psychology kicks in, right? We all look great. Price goes up 100x. I'm telling you, that expiring share tab is going to look completely different because some people are going to see, oh, my God, gain, end stake, boom, emergency, penalty, whatever, this, that. So, but if it just does what it's supposed to do gradually, your alpha is in the time because, again, that's what it does. It's a CD. You get the bonus shares to help you out too, and you get the protection from the share increase. Wells, go ahead.
If you want USD, then you might want to position yourself here in where the blanks are. And that's what Richard has advised people to do. He said, people go fill in the chart. And this is the one that he was talking about. If you want more, if you want to maintain the best play in terms of how to get T-shares and how to accumulate the maximum amount of wealth in the system in terms of hex, then you're still going to stake longer because of what Karim and
you nailed it. You really nailed it, Matty. I don't even need to talk on it. That's pretty much it. It's that simple. It's just like Karim said, and it's just like Matty said, because it's because again, you can do whatever you want, right? You have the optionality of time at your disposal from 1 through 5,555 days. So it's important to understand that, because while the system yields the max benefit, right, at the max number of days that you can stake, which is what I highly recommend, because again, the financial system under which we live allows for that. It really does. So you really are shorting yourself if you don't make a majority of your stakes that long. You are. And this is just purely from a mathematical perspective. Now, if you want to create taxable events or whatnot, then definitely use the gaps as Matty stated. That's exactly how I would lay it out.
Exactly. And one more thing, which is important too, in terms of the logic, I want to just highlight that and bring people's attention, is that, like Richard has said before, a lot of the time, I hate to say it, but it's the noob or the lower stakes that actually are the one dumping the price.
Yeah, it's not the big ones.
People be looking at this chart and be like, oh man, big stake, stay away, be next to the little one. The little one are the one dumping the price. A lot of little one will dump the price more than the big one, which actually end stake probably don't dump the price and actually pump the price because they're not stupid. They know it's public information. They know their stake is ending. They know that some people are going to try to front run them. And I've talked about that big February 1st stake, and it did happen. I said to people, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if the price actually pumped, because if I'm again, common sense, that's what I do. I ratchet T-share price, I pump the price. Why? Because if you're not a long-term guy, if you're not already, or girl, or if you're not already on my bus, stake for the long term, which means you're away from the price volatility and you're away from worried about T-share because you already locked it in, then to me, it's not contentious, but you're not a long-term thinker. So why would I help you? So you can dump, price go lower, and then buy back and rinse and repeat? No. So I will keep what I need, because the big wallet, chances I don't need the money, especially when it's an outperforming asset already, working fine. Then they just ratchet share price, restake, and maybe buy some more. Because they just can't.
10 minutes.
Have other wallet that they use for, regular expense stuff.
Right. So yeah, it's all. I mean, it's all relevant information. That's the thing. That's the problem, right? We could talk for hours because it's all relevant. That's what makes this so hard.
Yeah.
It's all
We
relevant.
do talk for hours.
Yeah.
It's true. But remember what the system was created for.
Correct.
It will always help you.
Correct.
That's why we say LPB, ha ha ha. And
Yeah.
then bigger pays better.
But that's why the math is important, because when you see mathematically what a 4x5 stake means, it changed my mind entirely. It changed my mind entirely.
Yeah.
And the system guarantees that because it's a simple function. It's a simple function, right? And I love these correlation charts. They're also like my second favorite set of charts because it's just zero all the way across the board, right? Across the board, it's just zero. And then when we're looking at the x-axis, which is the hex return streams, we look at every scatter plot. And for hex, it's primarily on the right side of the zero line, right? It's on the right side of the zero on the x-axis, which implies a majority of positive returns. Hint, hint.
Yes.
And this
I
is
even dare to say the negative return is most likely the traders that get wrecked. The people who are staked, and especially all those charts you showed before,
you're gonna have negative days, right? I mean, every day can be a beautiful day. We gotta have some cloudy days too. We need some rain.
If you calculate your wealth in Hex and in T-shares, every day you go up. I mean, again, I only speak for me.
Oh no, but it's true, right? But these returns are really only for price. They don't really matter. That's the beautiful thing about it. It's just for discussion.
Yep.
It's really more for discussion because it's good to understand how the system works. It's good to understand that the system stands alone. It's good to understand that this is really the next safe haven. Once people discover Hex, it's a wrap. Like you guys, I really wish I wasn't the only person that understood legacy finance markets. Like I wish you guys could see what I see. This is the most obvious like they're gonna be making movies about us. The Big Short is nothing. And if you don't know what The Big Short is, go watch that. We're the next Wall Street movie. I promise you. Amen. I promise you. Because this is simple math. This is not difficult math. And people that don't want to understand how the financial system works are going to suffer the consequences of that. So again, Bitcoin, zero correlation is showed right here with this R2 value, R squared at 0.0004. And with Ethereum, hey, what can I say? It's another beautiful day. Right. I mean, again, the hex returns are mostly to the right side of the zero axis, which is what we want to see. And again, with the zero correlation to Ethereum, it's just a beautiful thing to own hex. That's just all it means, because whenever the market's dumping, we might go down. But the thing about it is it's just not going to go down like the rest of the market. So it doesn't even matter. It's like, okay, whatever. And again, if you're staked, it's irrelevant, because you're getting more in payout than you're getting in than you're getting per hex, assuming you own a T-share. All right, so payout per T-share. If you own a T-share, this is what you got paid today for 5 cents basically per T-share. 5 cents per T-share.
Yes.
All right.
It's a pretty good deal.
Upward. The payout is trending upward, guys, which is the support valuation to buy why the T-share will continue to go up. Because the thing that pays you the interest is going to become more expensive, which is T-share, what they call the minor or whatever.
Yeah, and it also shows the compounding right here on the chart.
Exactly. Boom.
Also shows, because it's going up in value constantly. And I shortened the Hex PE chart because it was looking crazy with with the pre-big payday.
Big payday.
Yeah, with the pre-big payday stuff. So here's my rationality behind it. That was really the launch phase of the product. So it's not the true valuation of the product, because all of the supply wasn't in the system. Now all of the supply is in the system, and the only future supply is the supply that should be coming out into the system. So we should only be looking at it from this relative time frame. We should not be looking at it from a holistic perspective, because it's not true.
And it's still insanely good. It's below one. For people that don't understand, we need to break that down. The price to earning, because when you have a price to earning, let's say of 1, that means that for every unit of the asset that you buy, you get a 1 unit of that return, right? But when it's less than 1, like 0.17, that means that literally you're getting a bargain, because the things that you're owning or that you're purchasing, so to speak, is giving you a greater return by multiple magnitude of the price at which you pay the thing that's going to create the earnings. That's insane. It's like owning something that costs $100 to buy, maybe, but he pays you like $500. You know what I mean? So what's the inverse correlation that gives like 0.17, right? So it's like how many times? It's a little bit more than 5, because 5 will be 20%, like 0.2, so it's 0.17. So it's like 5 and change, right?
A PE below 15 is used to be good when the market wasn't even so overheated. Okay. So we're talking here. I mean, I don't know what this below 1. I mean, I don't know what company
it's like roughly in simple
makes
math,
earnings in 1 year to pay for the entire cost of the stock. This is incredible. This is part of the function that you see of like Hex going up 352x in 365 days or something less than that, right? It's like almost 1% a day in the price appreciation plus the interest on top of that.
Yeah. For every unit that you purchase as an equipment, you get 5 more units plus. That's how insane it is.
Yeah. Awesome.
So this chart is showing the lowest price to earnings ratio for stocks all time.
Wow.
And that number was 5.51 times, right? And if we scroll back,
1917.
Yes, this was back during World War One. I'm sorry, this was back during World War One, 1917. So over 100 years ago. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And now we are currently trading at 0.172058.
We're 40x below the minimum.
What do you think, John?
Right.
What's your reaction?
Yeah, what do you think about this? It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask about if you had a PE chart. It's super weird seeing this so low. Usually you don't think anything this low. So it's like usually you're in the double digits, or like right now, obviously the tech sector is really heated up. So a lot of the PEs there are have gone exponential over the last 6, 7, 9 months or so. So yeah,
as a joke. Tesla is at 1241. Just let that sink in.
Is the PE on Tesla right now? Yeah, it's insane. So, that's usually a sign of a bubble. PEs, the overall PEs of the index or the the major indexes that people track, S&P. So this just seems super low and relative to its value, because and it's just another way to measure. Maybe if you're looking to buy a dip, or maybe if you're looking just to get a good deal, like.
This is why I don't look at price. I just buy stick, because PE makes sense when you understand T-shares, because that's how you get that ratio. If you just hold it and then get the value, then you're going to be like screwed, Wells, we need to call Warren. Show him.
Yeah. Thank you, Wells, for creating this. This is
because you got a lot of cash,
awesome.
right? Warren got a lot of cash sitting on the side. We need to call him up. Be like, yo,
not yet.
Yeah.
Or Tim Cook. How about Tim Cook?
Right.
Get in second to last.
Anyway, that was a good joke.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up, because this is pretty much the end of the charts.
Awesome.
I just love to leave these as a highlight, because this is really showing the power of Hex. And this is, what it's all about, really. It's about knowing where you're at. And again, John, I just wanted you to see this chart again. If you look at the left-hand column, you see every pause is pretty much around a log-based 2 value. Right. And that's kind of the thing that's important to see on this chart, because it really shows the true nature of Hex, it being a log-based 2 function. It has that reality built into it.
Does the AA and the big payday though change that model? Because obviously that's a weird variable, considering when you're comparing it to other markets. There's no launch phase. You don't think so? Okay.
No, because if you remember, I have that chart that shows a 10,000 hex, and I have that forecasting line on the back of it, showing where 10,000 hex is supposed to be valued at, right? And if we look at where it was, the gap that we had prior to, right, and this is way before big payday, right? Price still ratcheted up to that value, and that's kind of what I'm expecting here. And this was just the revaluation from big payday, and this is the revaluation again with the big stakes coming out. This is just tracking in real time relative to the T-share rate, which is just static compounding, a simple function every day. This is me tracking it in real time. So what the system should do is the T-shares should catch up to here, and Hex should reprice in conjunction with that. Will Hex ever catch up to T-shares? I don't know, but I expect it to at least.
It will never.
Yeah, I expect it to at least.
Equilibrium.
Right, I expect it to at least move parallel with it.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what it's about. It's about the importance of understanding that, because T-shares are what drive the value of Hex, and that's the whole point of this whole discussion. Every time.
Right.
And that spread will continue to grow because blue
Correct.
basically mimic as 10,000 hex per T-share, which is the baseline, which is why they basically are mimicking each other for like 90% of the launch phase. Because remember, John, back then, we only went up 10%. It was only like about 11,000 hex per T-share.
Yeah, 1.1.
And then the next day after Big Bet, it went to 16,000. That's when you get to see the spread. And the spread is going to get bigger and bigger. And then when we hit to 20,000, the red's going to be double the blue in space because it gets to separate and separate. That's why I tell people, lock in your T-share now, because it's going to, if you think it's expensive now, just wait.
Going to separate. Yeah.
Separate.
Okay, so all these charts basically saying it's undervalued relative to payouts, valuation, income, et cetera, et cetera. Just basically every chart saying that.
Yes, sir.
To sum it up. Okay.
Right.
Amen.
Pretty much.
I basically, I just dump my money, buy T-share, walk away.
Nothing to think about.
And then stream for 6 hours.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Pump my own bags. With everybody else.
Important too, onboarding. It's very important. That's a good segue again, because that's important. Like Wells perfectly said, network effect doesn't just happen by itself, right? People need to come in, and then as they come in, the rest will just be the magic. So we just accelerate the motion. We know it's going to happen, but if we can speed up the process, that's great. So please, everybody listening, take advantage. Onboarding. You got serious people, reach out to me. I'll help you out. Let's get them turned on. Let's not make excuses. And then for people who are able to stake long and watching this, do it. Be like Cal. It's one thing when you don't know. It's another thing once you know what to do and then you don't do it. Just make sure later on it's on you. Don't come back and say, hey, we didn't tell you about it. So just want to be clear about that.
Get your loved ones into Hex. Get the people that you care about.
I've done that.
This is a solution. This is the financial solution. This is very important to understand. This is definitely a financial solution. You can determine your level of return relative to your economic mass. What that means in simple words is you determine how much you can money print, depending on how much you can put into the system with what you have that you can stake, because that's what it's all about. You maximize what the system yields if you're able to stake for a long enough time period to make it worthwhile. And the longer you stake, the better off you are. And as Karim said many times before, longer pays better for a reason, and bigger also pays better because you get bonuses both directions. You get bonuses in terms of economic mass and in terms of time. So it's important to remember that.
And it's a powerful, fair system because you get the chance to come in and then earn your keep based on what you put in. It's like one of those beautiful things, it's not a handout, it's not socialistic, but it's like if you come in, you're not going to be bullied. And I love when you show this correlation, because what that tells me is that when the idiots and the other whales are dumping and Bitcoin on F2 pool and manipulating and creating all those liquidation, we're not affected by that. That's powerful.
Correct.
That's me. Besides the crazy gains, that's another valuable thing.
That's why those correlation charts are so important.
Yeah. You give me stability, shit, plus positive return, that's it. End of story. Sign me up. Let's go.
Plus passive income. Yeah.
Exactly. It's hard to beat it. It really is. I mean, John, I don't know what you do professionally, but I've been in finance for a solid 10, and I've never seen anything like this. I don't know what your perspective would be on like a professional's point of view once they discover this, because it's something that people don't know exists. It's a crazy thing. It's really crazy.
Yeah. It's still very well, like going back to what we initially talked about, it's still pretty ignored, gate kept from a lot of people, and a lot of people don't really know it. So it's cool to have these charts and understanding the valuation of what you do own, and some models that will give you, visuals of how powerful the system can be. But yeah, I mean, I do come from
Thanks,
legacy
guys.
finance.
Thanks for being on.
So-
I'm going to emergency end this stream because Richard is live. I've put the link in. And remember, emergency, start your stakes now.
Yes.
Follow Karim and Whales and John Wick, and have a good night.
All right. Sounds
All
good.
right.
LPP.
Good talking to you guys.
Good
Take
night,
care.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Do it again.